I love games that let you be bad. Destroying villages in Overlord, dashing someone's nan in Prototype, or something truly diabolical like smashing the crates in Fable.
My stock is destroyed!
It's a beautiful niche that constantly struggles to find its footing, gaining a hardcore cult following before falling to the wayside. These games usually follow a clear-cut narrative of good versus evil, or if a game's really pushing the boat out there, a lesser bad versus a far greater evil. But every now and then, a game drops where the shades of grey are blurred, all 50 of them. Tales where there's no right and wrong, and the best you can hope for is wading through the sludge without ending up any dirtier. This is the core philosophy of The Darkness, a game that despite producing two very different yet equally enrapturing games was abandoned just as it approached its prime. In The Darkness, we're bad from word go, or rather our protagonist is, Jackie Estacado. A hitman for the Italian mafia who by all accounts would just as quickly help his auntie carry her groceries upstairs as he would kill a single father of three for being £2 short on his extortion money. The question this franchise proposes is what happens when a man of this caliber is given unlimited, unholy power to wield as he pleases?
Make them fear you.
Will it spell the end of humanity, or can Jackie resist the pull of the dark?
The sun shall fall into darkness.
Well, to find that out, we need to start with Jackie's 21st birthday.
Happy birthday, rat face.
And while most remember their 21st fondly, or not at all, Jackie's coming of age is a different story altogether. A tragic tale that begins with our protagonist heading downtown to whack somebody.
Hey, I already told you, he don't look so good.
It's all pretty chill at first. They talk between themselves about their various criminal activities relating to the Franchetti crime family and its criminal leader, Paulie, who just so happens to be Jackie's adopted uncle.
You know what Paulie's like. You don't collect. Best not to even come home.
But of course, being the bad boys they are, it doesn't take long for the driver, Mikey, to start acting up, practically defying physics to sideswipe an otherwise uninterested police car. The calmest, most reasonable driver in all of New York City. But seeing as they're on their way to literally kill a man, probably not the smartest, because this catches the NYPD's attention.
We got company. Drive, goddammit! Hold on to your lunch.
I mean, these guys are driving around like coke-fueled sleeping dogs enthusiasts. What were they expecting? And throughout all this madness, we're a passive observer because we reload the shotgun like your average narcoleptic.
Reload.
There is something interesting to note about the police though. They shouldn't be chasing us. They're all on the take from their corrupt chief of police, Eddie Schroet, who's snug as a bug in a rug with our Uncle Paulie.
Hey, these are Eddie Schroet's boys! How is showdown? This must be on Paulie's payroll.
Whether there's confusion among the ranks or something more sinister is afoot, there's no time to ponder because disaster strikes. Our primary gunner, Nino.
My name's Nino!
He's caught lacking with his head out the vehicle. And without so much as a pulse check, we boot him onto the busy road.
Scratch one more, New York's finest!
And while I do respect he took a fair old donk to the noggin, this moment's also important for establishing Jackie's cutthroat nature. The two were clearly close. They'd worked together for who knows how long, but the moment he's of no use, or worse, a burden, he's ditched to the curb. Now we can finally open fire, shooting anyone foolish enough to get close. A rampage that continues into the construction site where our target, the foreman, is hiding out.
Right into the construction site. You better keep an eye out for them Irish boys, Jackie.
Shooting his thugs takes priority now, trying our best with the janky aim to blast them as we fly past. Speeds that keep increasing until Mikey loses control, bringing this chase and tunnel to an abrupt end. Waking up, the car's wrecked, and so is Mikey.
This sucks donkey dick!
His legs have been hydraulic pressed, so flipping to a third-person camera, we drag him to safety. And with Mikey posted up, our boy hands over our first weapons.
It's a fucking 21st birthday for you, huh?
A pair of custom-engraved Colt Mark IV Series 70 handguns.
Thanks, Mikey.
Attaboy, Jackie.
After which, we're forced to stand around and listen to his many words of wisdom.
Get the hell out of here.
Or not, the choice is yours. The construction site that follows lets us get to grips with the controls, hopping over and under obstacles as we march towards our target, but something's not right. There's a voice lingering at the back of our minds, calling out to Jackie. An unknown entity that right now is little more than a bad thought. One we repress while fighting through the construction workers trying to protect their boss.
Someone over there?
And I'd wager the first thing anyone will notice while playing, or maybe even just watching, is how awful and clunky this game plays. I adore the darkness. I've completed it more times than I care to admit, but even I have to agree that it plays like shite. Jackie's often referred to as a puppet by the darkness, and that's ironic because he honestly controls like a demon's got a fist up his ass. Aiming is drifty and inaccurate with a speck of a reticle that often takes on a life of its own. Combat is easily the most dated aspect of this game. Even for its time, it paled in comparison to many games released alongside it. The only saving grace is that enemy AI isn't exactly cutting edge. They won't be carefully maneuvering around us, it's the opposite in fact. They'll often very comically present their faces for murdering.
Come on then!
That's not to say it was all bad. The game does include some interesting mechanics like a dynamic aiming system where Jackie will lower or lean his weapons in and around obstacles. And for all the John Wick fans out there, there's a gun-fu style execution system that allows us to instantly take down anyone that gets too close. They're comically over the top, but they're brilliant to watch. No matter how many times I saw the same version, I still got a kick out of it. Also, for some reason, we never reload our guns. We just drop them and pull out another pair. It's like a joke reload from Battlefield that's never acknowledged. We either take stupid long to reload or we just don't bother. I love it. Eventually we track the foreman down to his office, and stepping inside, we don't find our victim. Instead, there's a message waiting for us from a very unhappy Uncle Paulie.
You know you've been a pain in my ass since the day I met you, Jackie. Pissing and moaning about the way I do business. Well, you need to learn who's calling the shots in this family. In fact, I got a surprise for you. On your birthday. It's in the closet.
A surprise? For moi? How very thoughtful. I wonder what it could be. Oh, it's a bomb. Shit. Blasted out the hallway, we fall several stories, and yet somehow we survive.
Tell the boys to drive around the block. We'll squeeze him in there.
Jackie is already unkillable, and he hasn't even embraced his powers yet. It is crazy. What's that f***ing trench coat made out of? Vibranium. But the real question is, what the hell is that f***ing Paulie's problem?
You know you've been a pain in my ass.
Why would he betray us like this? The bomb, the police, it was a setup from the start.
Hey, these are already shots, boys!
Well, it boils down, as it usually does, to paranoia. Jackie didn't like the way Paulie was running the family. He was making bad choices, exploiting the wrong people, an issue Jackie was stupid enough to verbalize to the wrong people.
Now, Paulie, he's just a parasite. Wants to bleed me dry.
So, driven by fear that Jackie was gunning for his position, he decided to whack us. I'm bringing it back. Obviously, it didn't work, but his wish came at least partially true. The explosion did send us straight to the graveyard. One overrun with Paulie's thugs looking to finish the job. Who failed just as miserably as 50 pounds of C4 and a 40-foot drop. Ground's cleared, we're still screwed because the way out is blocked tighter than a nun's chastity belt. So to vent our anger, we enter the graveyard's public toilets, which, are they a thing? And slaughter this homeless man.
Frank Rottenberg's the name.
This isn't required, and yet for some reason, I do it every time. What do you mean there's something wrong with me? We're role-playing as a villain. So what if the only two books I read are Clockwork Orange and American Psycho? Literature is literature.
Happy polylodges.
Leaving the crime scene, it would seem my horrific act has awoken something deep within.
Through you, I will display my power.
And as enemies advance on our location, we lose control, unleashing for the first time the darkness.
Through you, I am born.
The titular power inherited by Jackie on his 21st birthday, and an ancient evil beyond human comprehension that's ready to display its immense power. It is the perfect display of this creature's incomprehensible ruthlessness. You couldn't ask for a more iconic introduction to the curse this game centers around. Hell, even the calligraphy used for its subtitles are perfection. Not a detail was spared in bringing this beast to life. Regaining control, this entity is represented with two snake-like creatures from either shoulder known as the demon arms. Along with fueling our abilities, they can also consume human hearts. Not any old heart though. Being an evil entity, the hearts must be corrupt. Only a wicked man can fuel these beasts, helping in turn create more wicked acts. Eat enough and our affinity with the darkness grows, increasing the pool of energy that drives our powers. The sounds are wet and crunchy. This consumption is brutal but vital, and sadly, I'm not the only one that took notice of this game's vicious nature. As usual, governments the world over were quick to step in and blame the lack of mental health care on the video game boogeyman. Singapore initially banned the game for excessive violence and religiously offensive expletives. Not only that, but the pesky Germans pulled it apart before release, removing most of the blood, the ragdoll effects, and worst of all, changing the heart-eating animation, with the serpents no longer leaving visible marks on the bodies it consumes. This majestic beast is voiced by the one and only Mike Patton, lead singer of Faith No More, Mr. Bungle, and many other artistic pursuits. It would seem years of belting his lungs out have done a number on his vocal cords, and the effect is stunning, because I couldn't imagine anyone else carrying this role as perfectly as he has.
Darkness will fall.
Mike Patton is the darkness, and the darkness is Mike Patton.
Run! Get away from the light!
Bonus trivia, he also voiced monsters in I Am Legend and some of the zombies in Left 4 Dead, so clearly horrific guttural sounds are this man's bread and butter. Double bonus trivia, he voiced Bionic Commando in that 2009 reboot that no one played.
Now, where did the rest of me land?
You can't win them all. Returning to our powers, the first ability afforded us is the Creeping Dark, which sends forth a serpent to do our bidding. It serves a niche purpose. In the heat of battle, we can't risk leaving our body as vulnerable as this requires, but it is a powerful tool for cleaning out entrenched enemies or opening up areas we would otherwise never reach. Our other ability is one synonymous with the franchise, summoning a demonic servant, the Darkling.
Follow me to freedom.
These oversized gremlins come in all shapes and sizes to serve our various needs, be that attacking enemies or clearing obstacles.
Darkling sense.
Here, for example, we spawned one that's able to move the vehicle blocking our exit. What a helpful guy. More than anything, these guys offer comedic relief, taking the edge off the otherwise bleak ongoings, be that cracking actual jokes.
Enjoy your retirement. There's a nice gold watch.
Or just being generally strange.
Present for you.
Leaving the graveyard, we descend into a key location for this franchise and New York in general. The subway. Walking these piss-covered platforms, we're unable to summon the darkness. He's not interested in the peasants and cattle that reside here. His words, not mine.
Ordinary, dull, pointless maggots.
The subway allows Jackie to travel between districts of New York, and I'd love to say that this was a clever way of replacing loading screens, but it's not. Far from it. In fact, it triples the loading times if anything. There's a loading screen to enter, one for the train ride, then another to leave the station. It's agony if you're in a rush, especially with the slothy PS3 load times, but in fairness, that's more of a hardware issue than anything else, so I'll ease up. Fortunately, most stations are worth the time spent traveling to and fro, serving as hub spaces where we can undertake side missions and speak to various citizens in a safe space.
That asshole won't let me play my harmonica at my spot unless I give him a couple $100.
The Darkness has a handful of these short stories, all of which flesh out the inhabitants of New York.
That asshole won't let me play my harmonica at my spot unless I give him a couple $100.
I like to call them side missions, but maybe that's a touch generous because they're often as simple as walking somewhere, interacting with X, then returning. Objectives like threatening a music-hating thug.
I see you around here again, dipshit. I'll put my arm down your throat and pull a rabbit out your fucking ass.
Or slightly more complex ones, like helping a babushka find her missing heirloom.
Oh, thank you so very much.
What? I can't hear you! The best of the bunch are a series of hitman missions we carry out for an old-timer who's sick of the scum cluttering up our streets.
What do you say I put him over a barrel and show him the true spirit of family loyalty?
We need you to put him in the ground, one by one.
Be them Paulie's thugs?
Man, I'm babysitting a wrinkled old bitch. Motherfuckers.
Or people playing music too loud. Every time you complete one of these distractions, Jackie will receive a phone number.
I'll vouch for you when the time comes.
There are a load to collect, either through this method or good old-fashioned exploration. Bring any of them to a payphone and Jackie will punch them in for a range of bizarre interactions. Not only is New York the city that never sleeps, it's also the city that never answers its fucking phone.
There's no one in this house of the Lord who can answer your call right now.
On the upside, each call will unlock bonus content that can be viewed in the game's menu. Everything from artwork to entire comics, free for your greedy little eyes to ogle.
You're watching a short little featurette that I made on the graffiti sessions that we had for the game.
If you're a behind-the-scenes fanatic, they're a real treat to sift through, and if not, getting entire comics for free is still a massive win. They're a lovely addition.
Some of them are still active, so that's why we had to make sure that they're all anonymous.
We can also engage with local artists, donating money to their cause to no end. This is not an edit, it's one of our hidden abilities, infinite pocket change. The Darkness truly is the most devious bastard in New York City. He could solve world poverty, he just chooses not to. But that's enough swooning about the railways. This isn't a Francis bourgeois biopic, and we have a girl to meet. Our best girl, Jenny.
Jenny, it's me, Jackie.
Hiya, baby. Happy birthday.
A ray of light in Jackie's brutal life, and a great contrast to the evil within.
But there's evil within, too.
The evil within. Why, damn you all to hell. Jenny, she's as pure as they come, and she's kept Jackie grounded since they were both abandoned at the same orphanage. A bond forged in misery, which, as every Dark Souls 2 fan knows, is unbreakable. She just moved into a new gaff, and with our world turned upside down, paying her a visit, all we can think to do, but moments after stepping above ground,
Stay in the shadows, Jackie.
we're under attack. Uncle Paulie knows we survived, and he's placed a fat bounty on our head. We are officially excommunicado. But between hot lead and demonic serpents, our foe are little more than an Italian snackety snack on our journey through the dirty streets. Arriving at Jenny's apartment, she shouts down, inviting us upstairs.
Hey, you found me. Come on upstairs. It's apartment 11.
And before you ask, no, we can't unleash the darkness upon her, you heartless swine. Although, I don't think she'd care. Here I am, opening fire in her direction while shrouded in anime tentacles, and she's not fazed.
Jackie, hello, I'm here.
Thinking about it, Jackie also never shows any concern over his situation. His body's just been converted into a shared living space with Beelzebub. You'd think he'd be hysterical, but he's cool as an Arctic cucumber.
I'm sorry, baby. Things got kind of screwed up at work.
There are some potential justifications for this behavior though. Option A is that being a world-renowned hitman has fried his little stress receptors, allowing him to handle the craziest shit imaginable without skipping a beat. And option B is that the darkness has resided within Jackie from conception, biding its time and laying the seed for its eventual arrival. Inside, Jenny's giddy to see us, raving about her new accommodation, blissfully unaware of the chaos that preceded us.
Happy birthday, Ratface. You're finally legal.
Celebrations concluded, we're given a choice.
Are you okay, babe? You're being kind of quiet.
Do we bring Jenny into our world of chaos and tell her the truth, or do we leave her in the dark? It's an interesting decision to ponder on. Telling the truth would likely shatter her world, both in fear of the monster we're playing host to and the monster we've been on behalf of the Franchetti family.
And try not to whack anyone.
But to not tell her, it might leave her vulnerable to retaliation that she's not prepared for. How do we know what the right choice is?
I got a real problem, Jenny.
Well, you might as well close your eyes and make the choice at random because it makes no difference. If we explain that we're possessed, she calls us a goofy little goober and assumes we've got a very specific, very morbid sense of humor.
You are nuts. This is just like you, Jackie. There's something else wrong and you're hiding it with some kind of weird-ass story you just made up.
As I alluded to earlier, these non-choices happen a lot in the franchise, but I'll save that tangent for later in the video.
See rags of innocence.
Truth dismissed, the two share a tender and genuinely loving moment together, perhaps one of the best displays of love in any video game ever. No dramatic grand display, just two people that love each other sitting together watching a movie.
You want the remote, don't you, mister? No, my apartment, my TV, my remote.
To Kill a Mockingbird, specifically, a film you can sit and watch in its entirety.
It's good having you here.
Why did they do this? I don't know. I guess they wanted to flex all that fancy new storage space modern consoles were offering. But if I were to stretch the reasoning behind the specific film choice, I'd assume it's To Kill a Mockingbird's emphasis on moral flexibility and the point at which following the true or righteous path should be ignored in favor of a greater good. Regardless, at this moment, it's the calm before the storm. After we leave this flat, it's back to business as usual, and there's no cuddles where we're heading. As for Jenny, she's none the wiser and one heavy-ass sleeper. Fun fact, after leaving the flat, you can come back at any time and scare the living shit out of her.
What's going on?
Good, harmless fun. See you later, Jenny. We're just nipping out for a touch of mass murder. The plan now is to reach Butcher Joyce. He's cleaning up a crime scene down the road at a restaurant called the Olive Grove. But getting there won't be easy. Paulie's ramping his search up, something we discover the moment we leave Jenny's witnessing an innocent man being attacked on the streets.
You got the wrong guy! Please, stop!
We can walk away and leave his fate up to the gangsters, or we can step in, act a hero, save him from getting a beating. Although, like everyone else, he doesn't care if we show our demonic side. He'll even thank us after we shoot him in the fucking face.
Well, from now on, you're a friend. My friend.
And yes, while this might seem stupid, I have to agree that if I just saw a man eat a human's heart with his shoulder, I wouldn't be starting any smoke. Other than the main characters or the cowards hiding in the subway, everyone you encounter in New York can be dispatched without mercy, be them regular thugs or old man withers.
What say you slip me a couple of bucks, eh?
There's no repercussion for this, even though it really feels like there should be, especially in a game so centered around evil deeds and moral ambiguity.
Such delicate torture of the body and soul.
Take Mikey from the start of the game. We drag him to safety, he puts us on the starting path, then we can blast the fool. Does this change anything? No, and he was gonna die anyway, I get that, but there are several moments like this where our actions feel like there should be actual consequences, and there just aren't any. But to play devil's advocate, maybe this is more impactful than outright acknowledging our wicked behavior. We just move on, knowing that evil acts can happen anywhere at any time, and that's life. Fallout New Vegas was a great example of this theory in action.
We won't go quietly.
Typically, every decision will instantly register as a good or evil act, with the pressure of moral ambiguity being relieved by our obsidian overlords.
Hi there, sticking around Good Springs for a while longer? But there's a great mission called Hard Luck Blues where the courier has to make a very difficult choice, using a fleeting energy supply to either free a group of vault dwellers that have become trapped, or to fix a radiation problem above ground that's been killing crops, starving countless others.
I'm glad the troopers are smart enough not to trample everything.
Either way, people will die, but figuring out which choice is the right one, it's a sweat-inducing moral panic. And after you've made your choice, unlike every other occasion in the game, there's no karma allocated. The mission just ends with at least one group totally fucked. It's a fantastic moral challenge made significantly more impactful because they don't try to outline which choice is the ideologically correct one. But I suppose the point I'm trying to make in a very roundabout way is that sometimes games can have a greater impact by saying less and letting our actions speak for themselves.
I never would say this to no one, but you got a good heart.
Inside the Olive Grove, we step into a blood-soaked kitchen to find our buddy, Butcher.
I heard you coming from a block away, Jackie.
The Mafia's official cleanup guy and close-ish friend of Jackie's.
Every cop for a half a mile around probably knows you're here.
A beast of a man who more than likely owns a large pig farm in the local area.
Hence the expression, as greedy as a pig.
I mean, these bodies have to go somewhere. It's not like you can just flush them down a toilet. Note that joke, it's a call forward. He's also, it turns out, the world's strongest man, able to carry 2 whole human bodies with ease.
Always. You gotta call me in when I'm eating dinner.
Grabbing a third cadaver and helping Butch load up his car, he offers some advice. Just enough to nudge us in the right direction, but not enough to break his rule of non-involvement.
You know me, Jackie. I never choose sides.
A strict principle that's kept him alive for this long.
I would never be one to suggest how you do this. But if you ask me, you need to pay a visit to Dutch Oven Harry.
So that's the plan, hitting Paulie where it hurts. Dutch Oven Harry, the family's biggest gear supplier.
Harry is Paulie's biggest dealer of illicit medicine.
But before putting this plan into action, we're ambushed.
Cops. This is why I don't get involved. Get back inside.
The chief of police has the restaurant surrounded, and this is bad news. They're peas in a corrupt pod, and he's here to clean up Paulie's mess, ordering us to come out with our hands up.
Come out with your hands up and nobody gets hurt.
It's a fake attempt to appear reasonable. The real goal here is to put us down. So he calls in the big guns, a SWAT team who crash into the shop front. Thankfully, despite all their equipment, they're no greater a challenge than the regular thugs. That is to say, they're still no match for our deadly little serpent. If, however, they manage to get a lucky shot off and you die, you'll be treated to one of the many twisted death cutscenes the darkness presents to us.
Your time will not come.
Twisted versions of people or locations we've encountered up to that point. These visions are an insight to the wicked way in which the darkness views the world, disgusting and contorted.
My time is now.
Every time I died, I wasn't even pressed because I enjoyed studying these images and seeing what twisted reality we're presented. From zipped up SWAT vans to distorted faces of our friends, it's equal parts unsettling and intriguing.
Life is a lie we shall conquer.
The next few moments are spent fleeing the scene with the police and a helicopter in hot pursuit. Initially, this scene can be confusing and irritating. We have no idea where to go, and if you turn down a wrong alley or road, you're instantly vaporized by the heli's death ray. This will likely happen over and over until you discover that there's a very specific path to follow, one hidden up this very hard to spot ladder that has no yellow paint on it. It's obvious once you know, but I remember pulling my hair out the first time I played this section. I thought the helicopter had to be shot down or carefully eluded, but no, we just run like a possessed little bitch.
Drop it, you little
Harry's base of operation is just beyond this alley, and after fighting our way inside and upstairs, we find a well-fortified room with a concerning plan outlined on a whiteboard, blowing up St. Mary's orphanage to extract revenge from Jackie. A brutal plan that's outlined with almost childlike simplicity, with a crudely drawn diagram of the attack. It's brilliant, but concerning, and reaching the roof, Harry's ready to enact the plan.
This human is evil.
The orphanage, it's been hit. An explosion we see ringing out from across the city, but Harry's gone too, having fallen from the roof and landed on the track below. A moment so epic, every single frame disappears to pay their respect. Reaching the corpse, there's something different about it. Black smoke is pouring from his mouth and the darkness is excited.
Feed me.
This is how the player gains new powers, consuming wicked people who've corrupted their hearts to unprecedented levels. And eating said heart, we unlock a new type of darkling, the machine gunner. These guys, they pack a massive punch with a high fire rate and infinite ammo. A brave soldier who's willing to lay down his life to clear our exit. Walking along the track, we're alone and left with nothing but the torment of the darkness.
They burn Jackie. All of the little ones. Such delicate torture of the body and soul.
After a short while, we arrive in Canal Street Station. Sorry folks, our new train's gonna be delayed. Jumping onto the platform, we get a pager from Jenny, which, yes, Jackie still uses a pager, shut your fucking mouth, and we hop on a payphone to console her about the situation.
I don't know what to do or feel about it. All I know is that it's evil.
Can we meet at Fulton Street by the exit to the orphanage? You can take the train from Canal and be at Fulton in a minute.
Turns out she and Jimmy the Grape, they're outside St. Mary's subway exit, and after catching a train across, we find the two watching a news broadcast about the situation.
You can see behind me the fire is still way out of control, and the fire department is desperately searching for anyone who may still be alive inside. Shit!
As you can imagine, Jenny's devastated. The orphanage was by no means perfect. It was a cold, harsh, unforgiving place, but it's where the two lovers met. It was home to them, and worse still, it is home to countless children that have nothing to do with the criminals carrying out this attack.
This is so awful. No one's heard from Sister Mary. The police said it was some kind of a gas main explosion, but it feels like they're hiding something.
Jenny has no idea this happened because of Jackie. Jimmy, on the other hand, knows exactly who's to blame, and taking us aside, he proposes a change in leadership.
That fat piece of shit thinks he can't be touched, right? Wrong. Wrong, wrong, wrong. He's gonna be touched. Oh boy, is he gonna be touched. I'm telling you, someone goes to grind his lane, and they burn all the fucking money he's holding for the Chicago guys.
It would seem this attack was a step too far. The old-timers, they've lost faith in Paulie. And in spite of everything that's happened, all the shit Paulie's put us through, Jackie is still playing by the rules, waiting for a go-ahead from the OG leaders before acting.
Listen, Jimmy. Now you know how to respect. I would never do anything like that unless you guys gave the word. If I make a move, will you keep an eye on Jenny?
It's a sign of his better character. He's not above the family despite having immense power and genuinely seems to respect the traditions that founded it.
She was tough on us, but she was the only mother we had.
We've already hit Paulie in the moneymaker. Now it's time to hit the money. A large cash store hidden at Grinder Lane. And reaching said street, we're immediately called over by this random creeper lurching in the corner.
Hey, I wouldn't hang out around here if I was you, pal.
The fucking psychiatrist from Twin Peaks. This is Lawrence Jacoby looking ass. He's a concerned citizen that has suspicions about the ongoings of the nearby establishment.
They're probably shipping in something illegal.
But being a stickler for the rules, we have to live by the age-old adage that snitches get stitches. The building in question, it's a slaughterhouse, the perfect location to unleash our wrath because this is exactly how the darkness would view humans. They're an inferior species mentally and physically, a species to be butchered and consumed like the pigs hanging from the racks. The tiles are damp with blood and grime, and it's moments like these where the game's surreal art style truly gets to shine.
Human flesh.
Personally, I feel like the artistic direction of The Darkness is superb in its portrayal of a gritty, grimy New York City. It has such an unmistakable ugliness that works with the game's themes so well.
This will be a night to remember.
Images from this game are instantly recognizable, from the white glow of the subway to the semi-realistic reimagining of several New York suburbs. It's all immaculately presented in a style that's so tricky to pin down.
Human flesh.
The engine was adapted from the one and only Escape from Butcher Bay.
See this? It belongs to me.
Praise be the Diesel, I have an excuse to talk about the Riddick games.
Riddick, you're gonna die.
Many a moon ago, long before The Darkness, Starbreeze developed an adaptation of Riddick in collaboration with Tygon Studios, which is easily, in my opinion, .tm, one of the best movie to video game adaptations of all time.
I got a custom-made bloody...
I'll take it.
What's not to love about playing as Hollywood's graveliest actor? How many times have I been struck off and accused of sexual misconduct? Environmentally, mechanically, Vin Diesel-y? These games are a joy to experience, particularly the first, Escape from Butcher Bay, which is set before the events of Pitch Black and fleshes out the unique relationship between Riddick and William J. Johns before his untimely end.
That minefield's offering better odds than you're gonna get taking me to Butcher Bay.
Also, are you aware that Riddick's official name is Richard? Fucking Richard. No wonder he was so angry all the time. I thought his name was just a one-liner like Adele or Thanos. But as I was saying, it's a great game, one that focuses on Riddick's attempts to escape maximum security prison, featuring a wide range of mechanical variation, from sci-fi shootouts to brutal one-of-a-kind melee combat where virtual Vin Diesel will wallop various malnourished convicts into the afterlife. This connection also explains the gun-fu executions, which are basically pinched directly from Riddick. That's all I'll say about the game for now, because I 100% plan on making a video about them at some point, but the reason it's so important to this video is because the engine Starbreeze created for Escape from Butcher Bay, it was taken and adapted for the Darkness, and the Darkness was pushing this engine to its limits. Both Riddick games played very well. They're smooth and have a decent frame rate the majority of time.
Gonna get your panel right back.
But taking the small prison environments and stretching it to the hustle and bustle of New York City, yeah, the engine was screaming and crying the entire time. Another knock-on effect of adapting the Riddick engine is that the physics are crazy. Sometimes in a good way, like when a thug drops to the floor and ponders the meaning of life. And sometimes in a bad way. One last critique while we're here is that the character animations are whack, specifically the lip sync.
She moved to a new place around here. It's supposed to be by some ball court. You know where it is?
Everyone looks at you like a slack-jawed blobfish, and half the time they don't even move their mouth when they're talking. They're like creepy, wrinkly puppets.
Listen, I wish we could be meeting under better circumstances, but you know the way things are.
Working through the gruesome halls, this location should be an ideal time to test out a weapon we recently picked up from the SWAT lads, a combat shotgun based on the Franchi Spaz 12, a fittingly Italian-made weapon. In close quarters, the golden rule is that shotguns reign supreme. Aim in something's general direction and watch them go pop like overcooked ravioli. The Darkness, however, takes a totally different approach, turning the shotgun into little more than a fucking blow dart. There is no pellet spread and even less range. Unless the enemy is French kissing the Italian barrel, it takes several shots to put someone down, and the aim must be pinpoint accurate or it won't matter anyway. Like, look at this absolute insult to the shotgun community. As such, handguns are the weapon you'll likely use the majority of time, whether that's at range or up close and personal. Clearing the meaty halls of gangsters, including this shithead with absolutely no situational awareness.
He's over here, damn it!
We douse the cash and give it a Viking burial. This act of destroying a life-changing sum, it's usually done to reinforce the motivation behind the protagonist. It shows that they're not in it for the money, they're not greedy or short-sighted. They're here to send a message. Revenge is all that matters. Besides, we already have infinite change banging about in our trenchy. We don't need that shit. Heading back to tell Jimmy the good news, the positive vibes are shattered when we stumble across Grape Juice having had his Zimmer frame kicked from under him.
They snuck up on me and nailed me from behind.
He's been attacked by Paulie's men, and Jenny, she's gone, taken to the orphanage as bait.
They took Jenny to the orphanage. You gotta get there. Go on, move, quick, move.
It's an interesting move on Paulie's part. Taking Jenny and holding her hostage is the best way to keep Jackie in line. He loves that woman and would do anything to keep her safe, but on the other hand, if so much as a hair on her chinny chin chin is harmed, even the fiercest fires of hell could not prevent our wrath.
Paulie can have my possessions, my life, anything I own. Anything except you. Anything!
The chief of police has pulled a few strings and cleared the area, allowing us to walk right through the front gate, and this location instantly stirs up long-buried memories.
Remembering something, Jackie?
Now you're my boyfriend, Jackie.
These spirits linger all around, reminding Jackie of the cruelty he experienced growing up and the sorrow he felt at leaving Jenny behind when Paulie adopted him.
I'm not gonna go. You can't make me. I'm gonna stay here with Jenny.
It was a miserable upbringing, and while he might be glad the owners are toast, there's no accounting for the children's lives lost. Jenny's being held somewhere upstairs, but just before reaching her, the darkness decides it's time to lay down the law, to demonstrate who's calling the shots.
Too late, Jackie.
Love dies.
That's you, my puppet.
And taking control, he pulls us in front of Paulie and Eddie, who are about to make a demonstration of their own.
Your flesh is mine. Your will is mine.
Well, just in time.
The two of them are both very smug about our lack of autonomy and very angry about the thorn we've been in their side.
It just gets bigger and bigger, don't it, Jackie boy? We hurt you, you hurt us. It's like some fucking game we're playing here.
And the real cruelty here is how easy we could break through and tear them to pieces. We could free Jenny and end this nightmare right now, but the darkness has other ideas. Jenny's our last connection to humanity, the last bit of hope residing within us. So despite our struggles and our pleas, we're forced to watch as that light is snuffed out.
So now, what I take from you.
Jackie, this is not your fault.
It's a tragedy. Jenny done nothing to deserve this. She was as pure as they come, and those rats, they took her from us. And while the darkness doesn't have much sympathy,
What did they do to Jenny?
one thing it didn't account for is that now we have nothing left to live for. But rather than giving in to pure evil like it had expected, we rebel in the only way we can, grabbing our gun and marching towards the mirror. Now the roles are reversed. The darkness is pleading, begging us to stop, and raising our weapon up. We squeeze the trigger.
And that? Well, that was the first time I died.
But as you'd likely expect, there's no gentle slip into the night. The nightmare's only just beginning, specifically a demonic version of World War I, with twisted trenches and zombie soldiers to boot.
Jesus Christ, no, please.
There are countless renditions of hell in video games: God of War, Dante's Inferno, back in Grim Fandango.
I need a lead on a rich, dead saint.
But this version is up there with the best of them.
You should not be.
The foggy, volatile environment manages to feel tight and claustrophobic while also feeling like the warfare stretches to eternity. It's a true hellscape.
The flame of life shall be put into shadow.
Even the enemies are cut above the rest, disturbed manifestations of German soldiers masked in stitching and scarring, and those are the lucky ones, some less fortunate souls of mechanical appendages grafted onto them and into their skull. They actually reminded me a lot of the Cyclops from The City of Lost Children, a movie I talked about in my Little Nightmares video. From their authoritarian themes to the mechanical contraptions, there are striking similarities, and gunning one of them down with any of the newly acquired World War I themed weapons, from the German Mauser C96 pistols to the generic bolt-action rifle, the first thing you'll notice is that they also won't die, no matter how much you shoot them. They just keep rising with janky, jarring movements. Ironically, the darkness is the only tool able to deliver them from eternal damnation, because by eating their hearts, they die for good, which almost gives their relentless pursuit a different context. We're not necessarily the enemy here, we're sweet relief. Don't get it twisted though, this isn't actual hell, but with Lucifer and Jimmy Savile, but rather a prison constructed by the darkness to trap our mind while he rebuilds our body.
It's my dream.
The first visual we're treated to when we awake is a German soldier slowly game-overing unarmed, bound English soldiers.
Christ, no, please have mercy. No.
An evil act that births a new power within their wicked heart. The Demon Arm, a powerful and versatile tool, allowing Jackie to fire a tentacle outward, be that through someone's midriff, an object blocking our path, or to smash lights without wasting bullets. You can even lift whole cars with it, which is actually pretty sick, but it serves no real purpose because the physics are so floaty, it's nearly impossible to actually hit someone with it. Physics aside, the aim, much like our gun, is still super iffy. Sometimes it will refuse to lock on where you want it to, and other times it will lock on, but just change its mind. That poor fucking man. I just wanted to smash the lamp. Now I've got a British kofta on the go. Regardless, it is a great addition to our arsenal, and it's not long before another heart is thrust upon us. Working our way through the trenches, a fucking plane drops from the sky and explodes mere feet away from us. And the pilot of said plane? Well, I assume he's just nuked an innocent village or something, because his heart is stanky and we're one hungry boy. Oh, yeah, and as you might have noticed by now, there's a tragic tale unfolding right in front of our very eyes. The left serpent, despite its best little demonic efforts, it never, not once, manages to eat a heart. Despite the pulling and the tugging, it's inferior to the more dominant right shoulder, who acts like an only child and never learns to share. There truly is no justice in this cruel world. Anyway, what power have we unlocked? Well, it's a new type of darkling, the kamikaze, strapped with dynamite and dressed like Abraham Lincoln? This guy will rush towards enemies or obstacles and blow themselves sky high. It's a twist on the crash that provided the power in the first place. The name kamikaze translates from Japanese to the divine wind, an almost mythical phrase that refers to the typhoons that protected Japan from Mongol invasion in the 13th century, sinking countless ships before they could conquer the mainland. Years later, the phrase shifted meaning, referring to a tragic and desperate tactic utilized by the Japanese near the end of the Second World War, where a select few would throw their lives away in the name of imperial rule, diving headfirst into their intended target, which were typically Allied naval vessels, and exploding. The only difference here is that the Darkling will always return. The same can't be said for the poor souls brainwashed into their meaningless demise. I'm not even joking when I say you should watch Godzilla -1. Although it might sound like I'm being flippant, the main theme of that movie is about the survivor guilt of a kamikaze pilot who fled service. It's a brilliant look at the psychology of this bizarre and heartless tactic. But back to the other world, we quickly leave the trenches, fight across the open fields, through a concrete bunker, and out the other side, we encounter a strange creature. Pestilence. One of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, a bird-like human strapped to a totem, screaming and hurting us if we get too close. And I don't want to hear any smart asses arguing that conquest should be here instead of pestilence. Take that lore up with the devs, or the Bible, I don't know. Conquest is basically war anyway, they were crazy for that one. Famine is represented later with the appearance of a sickly white horse. One that has access to buckets of food, and yet still it starves. And as for war, well, that bitch is all around us. I mean, what were you expecting? Ares to come down and cock slap us? Ares! Speaking of crossing the torn battlefield through the fire and brimstone, we see a sign of hope. The best thing a man can find in the worst of times. The English flag. Lord save our spoiled king. Reaching the English side, we're greeted by wary soldiers fighting the good fight, half of which are losing their minds, and the rest are held together with a staple gun and 2 litres of British tea.
You're giving away our position, you idiot! God help us all.
They too cannot die. You can throw them around like Her Majesty's royal ragdolls, but much like Rocky, they keep getting back up. Well, except this guy, but that's because he's missing a leg, and I assume the devs didn't know what to do when he was knocked over, so he just never gets back up. Is this ableism? But there's a reason I bring this fact up again, because their hearts can't be consumed. They can never die. In this hell, the good suffer more. There's no way out, no escape.
Have a word with Corporal Greenwood. He can show you the way to the sewers.
They kindly advise us to head on to the village where the Allies' HQ have been set up, something the darkness strongly advises us against.
Go back or be lost forever. Worse than hell. Nothing can come in this.
Which is probably the best sign we can hope for that we're heading in the right direction.
Young Estacado! It's waiting for you in the church. I'd get inside before the bloody Germans find out.
The village in question is only a small square, but it is fully realised with European brickwork, rustic taverns and blood-smeared ruins. Not many games have tried to jump theme like this mid-game. Jericho is a good example, or Death Stranding, with Sam's cliff encounters. These temporal disruptions drop the player into several historic wars, all of which are expertly crafted to portray their unique set pieces. Yes, there is action in this game, I know. Everyone that never actually played it is shook right now. Reaching the church turned field hospital, we encounter a new character, an American soldier working alongside the English.
Jackie, holy shit, are you a sight for sore eyes?
Anthony Estacado, and yes, you heard that name right, Estacado. He is our maybe great-grandfather.
Now that you've arrived, I think we're gonna find out what's happening here.
His background doesn't get much context in this game, but through the official spin-off comic, we learn a bit more about his history, and as you might expect, it ain't a pleasant one. At some point during the First World War, his squad was decimated by mortar fire, with Anthony being the sole survivor. And after taking shelter at a nearby barn, a voice reaches out, offering salvation. All he has to do is hand over his soul to curse his family line, an offer he graciously accepts. This might explain why the Darkness chooses the First World War as our personal hell, because this was the moment a lifetime of hereditary death was introduced to the family. This comic was made to complement the release of the video game, adding additional context to the many story threads, but what you might not know is that the Darkness didn't actually start life as the star of the show. It debuted in the 10th edition of a comic called Witchblade. In this tale, the Darkness helped create the Witchblade and is one of many primordial forces of the universe. But as with all comic book universes, the creators were quick to spin Jackie's character into its own series, and the rest is history. The Darkness was a cult hit, instantly more popular than the series that spawned it. There are two primary timelines that inspired the video games, and I managed to read a good chunk of both while working on this video. The first is the, dare I say, more fantasy-based timeline, in which Jackie fights the Angelus, an angel that serves as the antithesis to the Darkness, having fought against him since the dawn of time. This version was the greater inspiration for the sequel, and sees Jackie embodying a more traditional anti-hero role with his iconic armor and claws. The second timeline, known as the Darkness Resurrection, was the main inspiration for the first game, and while I cringe to call the Darkness grounded, this version is more grounded, in which Jackie Estacado navigates his life of crime with the Darkness lurking in the shadows as a more traditional curse than the supervillain we previously saw. And I loved reading through both timelines. It was super interesting to see what parts they worked into the game and which ones they left out. If you're an avid comic reader, I'd recommend you check both of them out wholeheartedly.
This is where you are, but you will remain.
Back with Anthony, we can ask a few important questions, like why are we here and what the hell even is the Darkness?
It's some kind of a creature old as time. It passes down from generation to generation, making itself known on the firstborn male's 21st birthday.
And after we've exhausted the dialogue, he tells us that there might be a way to get the Darkness under control.
There might be a way to control it. I found out that a long time ago, one of the human hosts forged two special weapons that were used to control the Darkness. Promise me, Jackie, that you'll go find them.
It's a long shot, but at this point we have to take the risk if we want any chance at revenge.
Don't listen to the Darkness, Jackie. It'll lie to protect itself. Just keep going and don't look back.
And heading over, the Darkness is more persistent than ever that we shouldn't go.
Go no further, Jackie.
The hills in question are a controversial part of this game, often considered the worst level and a joyless slodge to get through.
Nothing here.
It's very difficult to tell where you're meant to be heading with a lack of visibility and the constant flashing of both lightning and monsters. All topped off with the game randomly teleporting you around if you walk too far in an unspecified direction.
You'll find them.
The owner of these elusive weapons is Death, the final horseman, and once he rears his ugly heads, all three of them, he demands the super secret Darkness passcode.
Do you know the word of hope? Jenny.
Satisfied with our answer, he hands over the big guns, an ancient power crafted over generations to wrestle control from the Darkness. These weapons consist of a machine gun and a mini cannon, and I hate to say it, but they're pretty wank. They don't have the craziest range or damage output, and worse still, they milk our Darkness energy dry, leaving us shieldless in the heat of battle, which is never going to be a worthwhile trade-off. Saying that, they do look pretty cool. Sometimes you just got to take the hit in exchange for looking sick as fuck. back. Looking at you, the Game of Thrones throne sword from Elden Ring. That shit's unpractical, but would I use it to slap you silly? You bet your sweet cheeks I will. Back at the church, Gramps has gone, and just in case you got confused as to where, they graffitied "Down here, Jackie" on the wall, just to let you know. And people complain about yellow paint in the modern age. Long story short, they know about a secret base belonging to the Darkness, one the Darkness has gone to great lengths to protect, but by heading through a secret sewer system below the church, we'll arrive at a special tool able to grant us access.
There's this thing. The Darkness keeps it heavily fortified. A cannon outside an old castle.
Which means it's time to leave our flesh and blood behind and venture forth, but rest assured, it is not the last we've seen of old Anthony Estacado.
Steady your rifles! Keep your eyes peeled. First thing that moves, shoot it dead. Okay, Jackie, get going and move as fast as you can. Don't look back. Get going. Close it up quickly before they catch our scent.
Entering the sewers, we fight through a heavily entrenched bunker, and there's nothing too interesting to say here except that for some reason it lags like a bitch all throughout the area. It's only a few small hallways, but it stars more than that one guy from To Catch a Predator.
Am I being taped?
You are being taped.
Oh, crap.
This, combined with the already iffy aiming, makes some of the combat encounters here painfully clunky. It's not challenging, it's just frustrating. I mean, come on, how can a linear hallway struggle more than entire city blocks in New York? The game apparently sends our graphics card back in time too, it's crazy. On the upside, there's another evil heart to consume here. One from a corpse that ironically died by stepping into an electrified puddle. And this is ironic because it unlocks the light killer darkling. He's the last variation we'll unlock, and this time he's strapped with a battery pack that can zap enemies, power up machinery, although that ability is literally never used like that again, and more usefully, they can clear out light sources. But as with everything in the Darkness, whether they actually do this or not is a total guessing game. Sometimes they'll just run right through all the lights without a care in the world, and other times they'll backtrack half a mile to zap a light we'll never step foot near ever again. Never a dull moment with this game's AI.
There's mud in your eye.
Reaching the other side, we find what we came here for, a giant rail-based cannon.
Your gift, your heritage, your burden.
This machine is likely based off a real Nazi weapon, the Schwerer Gustav, a 1,350-ton cannon able to fire 7-ton artillery up to a range of 47 kilometers. An incredibly expensive and impractical weapon that barely got any use before the Germans blew it up themselves to stop it falling into Soviet hands. Womp womp. Of course, this hellscape is based on World War I, and this weapon was created in the Second World War, but the similarity is uncanny, so I assume the developers took some creative liberties here. Dropping into the control room with a less than enthusiastic and totally unkillable conductor.
You're not supposed to be here.
We turn on the engine and begin our slow march forward. But before seeing where this beast will lead us, a reluctant and very angry Darkness claims that now we've passed their test, and as a reward, the dream is over.
I fixed your broken head, ball. You have passed my test. No more dreaming.
Wherever this track leads, the Darkness doesn't want us going there. But that's a problem for another day, because now we're booted back to New York inside a different train with an equally angry German.
Get out.
We have no idea how long we've been gone or what evil doings the Darkness has enacted with our puppet body, but as luck would have it, Jimmy just so happens to be chilling on our platform.
My God, Jackie, what the f*** you been hiding?
And he is very surprised to see us, seeing as everyone, understandably, thought we were dead.
First Jenny gets murdered, your ass goes up in smoke, everyone figured Paulie blew you the f*** away.
Ignoring the second coming of Jackie H. Christ, he strongly advises that we pay our auntie a visit.
You know, your Aunt Sarah, that poor woman would just sit there in her Raspberry Street apartment and wait just for you. Yeah, just for you to show up. You go down to the Lower East Side and you see her. You hear me?
But before that, we're right next to the same graveyard from the start of the game. And there's a sad addition. Jenny's grave, cold and lifeless.
That girl was weak.
We can even visit her apartment to similar mockery from the darkness.
Can you believe this place? Come here, check out this kitchen.
These are small, easy to miss details, and aside from being a depressing reminder of Jackie's failures, it also represents how much time has passed since we left. In our absence, the world's moved on, and we've missed a funeral for the most important person in our life. Jenny really did deserve better.
Let's just sit here for a while. Okay?
Anyway, we have to see our auntie, lest Jimmy, the underage raisin, gets pissed off, so we head to the Lower East Side, and I have to say, it feels great to be back. New York is my second virtual home, and while I say that jokingly, it is half true. I went to New York for the first time about 5 months ago, and while navigating the subways and city streets, it all felt strange, and it took me ages to understand why. It's because I've already been there so many times in so many different ways. That's what makes New York so special. It has an unmatched quantity of virtual forms. Spider-Man, Max Payne, The Division, The Warriors, GTA, technically, you fucking nerd.
Quickly. Chill, right?
England isn't a location that gets much attention in video games. Aside from the brutally underrated Getaway series, the only other major title is Watch Dogs Legion. Cruising around in my futuristic whip and mowing down some nanny as she's trying to cross London Bridge was a surreal experience.
It's fucking good, mate.
There is also the recent Fallout London, but I'm playing that through on my second channel, so if you want my thoughts on that, you'll have to head over there. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Man, this guy, like, every breath is painful. We should just let him die. Arriving our aunt, her role is more akin to that of wise matriarch, a kind but tough woman.
You should have taken her away from this place when you had the chance. And now you've got to take care of it.
One we torment to no end. Ooh, dead body out your window. Just kidding, yo, gook. With Jenny gone, Sarah's the last person we can rely on, and the main reason we've come is to ask for her permission, her blessing even, to bring revenge against Paulie.
But I can't kill that little fucking scumbag without your blessing. You know that.
She's not keen on the term murder, but she knows what needs to be done. So she sets up a plan to take down Eddie Schroet, the corrupt chief of police who's been protecting our nemesis.
The only way to Paulie is through Captain Eddie Schroet.
He's residing down at Gun Hill, and she thinks it's time we paid him a little visit.
He's arranged for a man named Abe Hunter to let you into the building. I suggest you go there while you can.
Great advice, Granny. We'll head there right away. Sorry about the broken windows. Gun Hill is an action-packed sequence, albeit a nothing burger story-wise. First, we meet up with the infamous Abe, a man who's not to be trifled with.
Well, you took your sweet time, didn't you? I'm Abe.
Then we sneak into Eddie's apartment block, but sadly, it turns out we're wearing SpongeBob squeaky shoes because Schroet hears us coming from a mile away. Now the next few moments are a fruitless game of cat and mouse, chasing Eddie all around his home, his precinct, and up onto the rooftops, where Schroet's rescued by his cunty helicopter friend.
You ready for your close-up, Estacado? It's gonna be explosive!
Blasting us off the roof and flying away like an Apache rat, we're left in the lurch with no idea what to do next. Thankfully, Butch comes in clutch to help formulate a new plan, stealing a briefcase stuffed with incriminating evidence on Eddie, rigging it with explosives, then giving it back bullet train style.
I'm mansplaining again, I'm sorry.
As I said, Gun Hill is a fun level. It feels great to tear through that precinct and clean up the trash that reside there, but it really feels like it could just be cut out from the game entirely, and it would make no difference to the plot. The suitcase in question is stored at the Turkish Baths, and to reach it, we have to head through City Hall Station.
Human misery, suffer, disease of the mind and heart, festers here. It's a good place to die.
A dilapidated subway based on the real New York location, one that shut down in 1945 due to its proximity to Brooklyn Bridge Station. Except where the real station is a historical landmark with regular tours, this version is home to some very desperate and cosmically stupid criminals. And it's not just knife-wielding homeless we have to contend with either, because something sinister is lurking in these tunnels. A deranged cultist is up to no good, scribbling pentagrams in blood and rigging explosive traps all over. These traps are a great effort. Any regular man would struggle to pass through, but we're no regular man. We can summon our hapless minions to fall on their sword, sacrificing themselves to clear our path. We soon track down the cultist in question, a lunatic protected by a steel cage with access to an infinite amount of hand grenades. Finally, a worthy opponent. This will be a fight for the ages. Oh, we bit his face off. We'll never know what this man was planning down here in the dirt and dark, but it can't be pleasant because his heart is stanky, offering up our final power. Summoning a black hole, the most overpowered ability in the entire game. Not only can it crumple whole groups like a deadly Katamari, it can also pull down certain walls. Or, much like the electric gremlin, pull down this one wall, then never use the mechanic again. This whole cultist encounter, much like Gun Hill, it's slightly disjointed, undercooked, so to speak. We know he's the brother of this guy, Mitch Duval, who's waiting by the station exit.
I'm trying to find my brother, Ernie. I think he went down that way.
And I mean, Duval, he kind of sounds like devil. Is this lore? But I've always felt the cultist subplot could have been so much more. A horrific delve into a madman that desperately wants to know true evil and comes face to face with it.
You lied to me! This wasn't the deal!
Or better still, this cultist could have sown the seed for a larger cultish subplot for the games to expand upon. Maybe some crazy organization dedicated to tracking down the darkness and siphoning its power, but instead, we get one-hit cage man. What I'm saying is, there'd be no meat on this here subplot's bones. Or, after our interaction, the cultist's face. With the path forward cleared, we head into the Turkish Baths, a storehouse for crooked police and their illicit goods. As such, it's ram-packed with the buggers, who are now sporting assault rifles and combat shotguns. I would be shitting my breeches if we weren't able to summon a cosmic void of death to delete them from reality. The briefcase is at the back in a well-stocked armory, and after grabbing it, we're hit with a vision from another life. Our great Gramps is back, a spiritual projection claiming he knows something that can help us. It's a lie. It's an interesting development because it implies that this other world, it's not just a metaphorical prison for Jackie's mind, it's somewhat persistent. All the suffering we witnessed on our journey through, it's still occurring.
I keep hearing a voice. Whispering.
Fighting our way out, Schroep's helicopter bestie makes a return, who, with a well or accidentally placed black hole, can be pulled from the sky and sent crashing down.
I'll see you in hell, Jackie!
More SWAT guys are storming our location as well, and they even pull out a new trick, an impenetrable riot shield. And as I said a moment ago, these encounters would be rather challenging, but they are trivialized by the black hole. You know in Skyrim, when someone pisses you off and your massive god complex kicks in, so you use console commands and type .kill lists on bitch? That's what the black hole does in this game.
I see you, asshole!
Returning to Butcher, oi oi, we hand the case over for rigging, an operation carried out with slightly less than safe protocol. How are these men still alive?
There you go.
Revenge is tantalizingly close now, so we get on the blower and set up a meeting with Eddie.
Just tell me a place.
Trinity Church. Bring 50 grand and unlock bills and come alone.
We meet at Trinity Church, a location chosen to pay homage to the life Schroep stole, tearing his away right next to Jenny's resting place.
You can't control the darkness. Here in no man's land. You gotta work out how to get back.
Don't get any ideas now, Jackie.
And inside, Eddie's neither alone nor with 50 grand. The audacity of this man knows no bounds. Then again, he's clearly not the sharpest tool in the box, because his grand plan is to cut the fucking lights.
Kendall, turn off the lights.
That's good.
This is as close the game gets to a boss fight, surviving waves of goons as they try their best to put us down, getting torn apart in the darkness their own boss plunged them in. Eventually, Eddie's last brain cell turns on, and he forms a plan that might actually work.
Well, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out your weakness.
Wake up!
When we come to, we're tied down, and Eddie's feeling cocky. He wants to know who told us about the bathhouse and the briefcase, information he'll extract one way or another.
You don't have to talk. I'm gonna have fun either way. Go give me that power drill.
Sure thing, Eddie.
An interrogation that's rudely interrupted when one half of Wallace and Gromit starts talking about an important shipment.
You know, you made Paulie real nervous. That little turd is so paranoid, I gotta keep him in a safe place until the heat dies down. Now say your prayers. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at...
Oh, Mother of God. That's a good one, boss. I mean, considering the shipment we got coming in.
And if you say one more word about Mother of God, we're gonna waste you next.
All right.
What follows is some rather unpleasant, hostile-style drilling that's only stopped when the drill breaks on our face bone.
Chinese piece of shit.
L-drill bit bozo, weak-ass industrial tool moment, and while Eddie Schroet's repairing his kit, we have some fun of our own.
Come over here. Lights in my eyes. I need some shade.
Taunting the officers over until they've blocked the light just enough
Dark bliss.
to fuel our powers.
No, stupid puppet.
And that was the second time I died.
Exploding the package, Schroet is finally dead, and for a second time, we're plunged into hell.
Death awaits you. Worse than death.
But this time it's different, because we're arriving with purpose. As Anthony informed us, there might be a way to control the darkness here, hidden deep within the castle just ahead, and I know what you're thinking.
Use the weapons wisely.
Those guns we grabbed earlier were meant to control the darkness, but they didn't do squat. What gives? And hey, listen, this time it'll be different.
You are without hope.
The fortress in question is an ominous-looking structure isolated on a rocky plateau, looking like something ripped right out of Wolfenstein or Castlevania. The only way inside is a giant set of metal doors, but they're sealed tight and there's nary a lever inside. Thankfully, we have a giant fucking rail cannon staring right at her, so we open fire.
Again you fail. Worthless host.
Did you think it would be that easy? You think he'd just leave a weapon like this lying around ready to blow up his little clubhouse? No. First, we need to find some ammo. Okay. And leaving the cockpit with the most insane exit animation ever.
Watch out!
We hike down the soldier-infested hills straight to the trenches to find Anthony, who's waiting with a fucking tank ready to blitz forward and secure our artillery shells. Not only is it loaded with heavy weaponry, but it's pimped out with stars and stripes too. Yeehaw, baby! Let's show them how it's done, boys. This one's for Roosevelt. Fighting across the battlefield, we gun down anything standing in our way, be that soldiers, tanks, or fighter jets. Is it janky? Yes. Are the guns impossible to aim? Yes. Does this tank defy physics? Yes. Is this real butter? No. On the upside, it only lasts a few minutes, a few crazy, messy minutes, and after avoiding countless obstacles and whizzing along a crumbling bridge, we drive into the munition store down a straight fucking tunnel, only to swerve to the left and flip the tank. What the fuck happened? A minute ago you were Bill Hickman, then you have a panic attack and flip us? For shame.
Shame.
When we come to, we're trapped in the wreckage, but our great-great-grandfather reassures us that we'll be okay, that he's going to get help.
Hey, you don't look so good, Jackie. I'll go find something to get you out of here.
But mere seconds after walking away, he's attacked by a monstrous-sounding creature and bitch slapped off screen. After which, the beast reveals itself. It's a pale, deformed giant, and it wants us dead. It's swinging us around for a 5-minute segment in which we brainlessly hold down fire and hope for the best until it collapses. And looking around the arena-sized room, it really feels like they wanted this beast to serve as a true boss fight, but didn't have the time or budget to see it through, instead giving us essentially a fancy cutscene to watch it get gunned down. And the tragedy doesn't end there. Having been sorted away, our Gramps is injured, resting on a perfectly placed concrete pillow.
I think I see it, Jackie. I know what went wrong.
The wounds are fatal, he knows this, but instead of wallowing in misery, he tries to end things on a more positive note, feeling vindicated with the knowledge that maybe someone in his family just might be able to defeat this curse.
Everything's changing. You're the one, Jackie. You're always supposed to be the one.
And just as he's about to impart what seems like truly important information,
I think I got it. That thing about the light in the darkness. You know what that means?
Do not interfere. The darkness will prevail.
He's taken from us, pulled by the darkness into the deepest depths of this hellscape. But fret not, grandfather, we're coming! Or not. Old boy's chilling with the 4 kings in the abyss, it would seem. Alone once again, we reach the munitions store, load up a shell, and ride it back to the cannon.
Please, Jack. This is a mistake.
All that's left to do is clear a path.
I'll destroy you.
The journey to the Shattered Doors, it's not only precarious, but it's emotionally violent too, with the darkness going absolutely ham on us.
I'll put your teeth to the grindstone. I'll tear your mind. I'll boil your eyes. Turn back, or you lose Jenny forever. I will take you to her. Your heart's desire.
Which begs the question, what is hiding within this structure? Are there dungeons filled with unholy abominations, torture chambers where unthinkable acts are unfolding? The opportunities here are endless, but sadly untapped. All we get is one room that we instantly teleport to, not so much as a reception hall in sight. Now I understand that the other world is a darkness construct, it doesn't have to adhere to geographical consistency, but to me, much like the previous issues, this was a totally wasted opportunity. Look at the size of this castle. What should have been a horrific romp was boiled down to essentially a time jump.
No! You must not!
I mean, hey, maybe the horrors witnessed within were so extreme, Jackie had to block out the memory to protect our little brains.
Don't forget. I must stop him. Focus.
The room in question has a few objects of note, namely the body hanging at the center framed by 4 contraptions, 2 on either side. These devices are extraction machines, each one relating to a specific darkness power. Their purpose is to separate the curse from the man, draining our abilities and transferring them to the body at the center, a procedure that slowly reverts us to our human self. All the while, the body receiving these powers is evolving, constructing piece by piece a physical representation of the darkness, and this beast is a frightening sight. A demonic mockery of Jackie, one we have to defeat to take back control, and in a cruel twist, stood behind this creature, almost hidden just out of sight, we can see Jenny. It's as if the darkness is standing directly in the way of Jackie reaching her in the afterlife. With our powers gone, this fight is tough, relying on traditional firepower while our old abilities are used against us. Alongside summoning black holes, the darklings will periodically rush us, and they are a pain in the ass, primarily because the aim will not lock onto them. Now I know how our enemies felt, the poor bastards. This shit is unfair. In the end, we can't actually shoot this avatar. It's too powerful. Bullets just ping off its chiseled abs. Instead, we have to fight against our killer instinct, to put our weapons away, accepting that this evil is just part of who we are. Something we have to embrace if we want to control it. A submission that the darkness warns us is only temporary.
I am yours to control, for now. But Jackie, with each life you take, I grow closer to owning your soul!
And with that, we're shot back to reality, waking up outside St. Mary's orphanage where our tumble first began.
Catch me if you can!
The only lead we have is the important shipment Schroet's goon mentioned.
Mother of God. That's a good one, boss. I mean, considering the shipment we got coming in.
Before getting blown into 72 different earpieces.
Polish sweet butt crack.
And after running a few errands around town, we find a radio able to call said shipment into Pier 19.
You can bring in the boat. Everything's clear.
Affirmative. We are coming.
There isn't much to say about the boat conquest. We come, we kill, we leave.
I'm unarmed! I'm not...
If anything, this whole level is a little more than a demonstration of our increasingly monstrous actions, killing hordes of thugs as the darkness revels in our brutality. We're losing ourselves to this power. We have control now, but we're reaching critical mass. Once we tip over the edge, there's no going back, no more tricks we can pull. And to really hammer this transition home, now when we're shrouded in darkness, Jackie's hands will crack and glow red, similar to the effect on our otherworld counterpart. It's a small but worrying detail. We're now more demon than man.
This is the right way. Kill more.
With the captain dead, Uncle Paulie's last bridge to the rival crime families is burnt. Those gangs don't trust him anymore. He's no longer protected, which means there's nothing standing in our way. It's his time to die.
So, Jackie.
A quick detour first though, because in his rage, Paulie sent a small army around to Aunt Sarah's to take her and the old boys out. An unforgivable act. Only we can shoot her house up. With all hands on deck, we stand off against the waves, unable to unleash our powers and relying on good old-fashioned janky aiming.
Kill them all.
And where, I hear you ask, are we getting the ammo for this standoff? Well, the whole time this is unfolding, a human Chigga Nugget is chilling at the back, reloading an infinite supply of handguns. It is brilliant. McNugget, you're a real one.
Jimmy will never have stood for this, and neither will I!
Aunt Sarah saved and loose ends wrapped up, all that's left to do is head to Paulie's personal hideout, a newly refurbished lighthouse on the coast of New York City.
Take Paulie Franchetti out, I'll be right behind you.
Arriving, Booker DeWitt style, for the first and last time in this game, the sun is still shining.
The sun shall fall into darkness.
And it's a bittersweet send-off. This fight is our submission to the darkness, and as such, this first appearance of the sun, it's the last Jackie will ever get to witness. Making our way uphill, lights shatter at our approach, and slowly sunlight fades with an almost apocalyptic moon setting in front.
Feed me, and your thoughts will belong to me.
This allows us to unleash our full power and tear our way through, something the darkness is loving.
More dead is better. Feed me with wonder.
A subtle touch here is that without our input, darklings will be summoned ahead of us to assist in our advance. It conveys our increasing loss of control. The darkness is making choices for us in real time, and while it's working in our favor, it's only a taste of things to come.
Yes, give me my power.
Reaching the estate, we make our dramatic entrance, bursting through the front doors in a scene reminiscent to when the darkness first revealed itself. A brutal arrival preceded by flashes of Jackie roaming the halls and tearing Paulie's few remaining soldiers apart.
Show me what you can do with my powers.
It's a strange fun level because most of it's not actually spent under our control, with chunks of violence being interspersed with a few moments of lucidity. These are easily some of the best and most disturbing visuals in the game. From people choosing to throw themselves from windows rather than facing us, to the darkness giggling while it hunts down its prey. It perfectly captures our total loss of control, adding a sense of confusion and maybe even frustration as we jump around at random throughout these acts of violence. It does, however, highlight the ongoing control issues, just in that I wish the game was fluid enough to allow our gameplay moments to feel as badass as those looked.
Make them fear you.
Chasing Paulie into the lighthouse, this tale comes to an end, ironically, in the cupola, a chamber of light.
You ain't gonna kill me! You know why? 'Cause you're soft!
He's entrenched, hoping for one last stand, but direct confrontation's never been his strong suit.
This is the last one. Finish him.
With Paulie bleeding out, all that's left to do is put him out of his misery, an act the darkness warns us will utterly subjugate Jackie.
When he dies, I own you.
And standing there, with Paulie acting like the coward he is,
I'm serious. Anything you want, you just ask. I can get it for you.
the first thing you'll wonder is, do we have a choice? By this point, we care about Jackie, we like his character, and we know that finishing Paulie won't bring Jenny back. She wouldn't want us throwing our life away. Maybe we shouldn't pull the trigger.
Take his life so that I can take yours.
But try as you will, there's no leaving this scene. No Far Cry secret ending is waiting for us.
Maybe now we can finally shoot some goddamn guns.
I even tried eating no hearts for an entire playthrough to prevent the darkness from growing stronger, but no, there's only one choice, to pull the trigger.
You want to cut? Just say the word.
Or to anticlimactically flick Paulie's nipple with our tendril.
What do you know the score? Estacado.
Now you are mine.
Submitting to the darkness, we're plunged into the abyss, and after a moment passes, a voice calls out.
There's always a little light in the darkness.
Opening his eyes, Jackie's finally able to rest for a moment on the lap of Jenny.
Jenny?
We get one moment, Jackie. It's all they can allow.
It's a chance to say goodbye, a chance to apologize.
You were everything to me, and all I ever did was kill you. I'm so sorry.
A fleeting moment where Jenny claims there's nothing to apologize for.
How can I forgive you when it wasn't your fault? You have to go now.
I don't want to go. I want to stay here with you.
Before telling us to wake up.
Am I dreaming?
Yes. You have to wake up now. Wake up.
And this is where the game ends, with Jackie's soul lost in a sort of purgatory and the darkness in full control. As far as endings go, it's abrupt, and some could argue unsatisfactory. We have a sequel to tear into right away now, but I remember being frustrated at the time to have so little conclusion with Jackie's story. The biggest saving grace about this ending is the beautiful farewell between Jackie and Jenny, where Jackie is finally able to find some forgiveness.
How can I forgive you when it wasn't your fault?
Which, in terms of closure, having an opportunity to express how much you love someone and truly say goodbye, it is a touching ending. And it might also recontextualize all the moments spent monologuing between loading screens.
It thrives in the madness.
While at the time, it appeared Jackie was narrating events as they were unfolding, with what we know now, it's easy to play the game a second time and instead see these moments as the aftermath. Maybe this is Jackie recounting after his soul is lost.
End of story. Except I'm not the one lining up for the last rites. It's my loving Uncle Paulie. He knows the end of the story as well as I do.
Leaving him floating in purgatory with nothing but the memories that led him there.
Trinity Cemetery. I hate this place more than hell itself. You were buried here. I never even made it to your funeral.
What will happen to Jackie? Will he find a way to regain control, or is he lost forever? Well, don't go anywhere, because I'll get to that in just a moment.
Am I dreaming?
Looking back at this first entry, it's a very rough diamond. It has so many aspects that are like no other, and when it works, it's a destructive, emotional, and visually unique work of art.
I'll boil your eyes.
But the issues are glaring. Between the pacing, underdeveloped areas, and poor fidelity, even with my adoration of the franchise, it's easy to see where people's frustrations were coming from.
Way down the score! Estacado!
The main upside here is that if the game does get the remake treatment, it would be so easy to turn it into damn near the perfect game. Jackie's story, it's not pleasant. From his orphan birth to his submission to the darkness, nothing but pain and misery followed his life, consuming him and anything that got too close. Jenny was avenged, but at what cost? His life? His soul? Was that a trade Jenny would have wanted?
Jackie, this is not your fault.
Well, to figure this out, we're gonna need to jump forward 5 years and have a look at the vastly different but equally enjoyable sequel, The Darkness 2.
What the hell is that? You see that? Holy shit, it's the devil!
The sequel picks up 2 whole years after the events of the first game, with Jackie no longer trapped in the park with Jenny. Far from it, actually. Between games, somehow we've managed to tame the darkness, sealing it away and regaining our autonomy.
But ever since, it's been trying to get back out.
A seemingly impossible feat achieved with the help of our new tweaker friend, Johnny Powell.
You might think that inheriting superpowers would be pretty cool for Jackie, you know, being in the business of killing people and all. And if not for the demon living inside of him, you'd be right.
A darkness fanatic who spent his life researching the darkness and its origins.
That's how the darkness liked it.
After applying this knowledge and helping us regain control in an unspecified but likely brutal way, he disappeared, afraid of remaining near the darkness, fleeing from Jackie and his evil influence in the dead of night.
It doesn't matter how hard he tries. No one can hold back the night.
The massive disparity between the ending of the first game and the start of the sequel is glossed over real fast. But aside from his lingering misery over Jenny's untimely death, what's clear is that Jackie is living the high life.
Jackie, it's good to see you. Come on in.
With Paulie dead and no one to stand in our way, Jackie's trench-coated ass soared to the top. Now, he's wearing a fancy tailored suit topped with a voluptuous mane. Oh yeah, and he's been turned into a cartoon. I should probably talk about that.
Eventually, I found a way to bury it.
Gone is the grungy semi-realism of the first game, and in its place, cell shading, moving the game closer in appearance to the comics that originally inspired it, and you best believe this was a point of contention for a lot of players who were shocked at the drastic change in direction.
Check out the rack on the brunette to your right.
Now, as I've said before, this approach, if done right, it can help a game age like fine wine. It's the Mads Mikkelsens of graphical designs, if you will.
Shut up.
But much like the shift with Deadly Premonition to its more cartoonish sequel, the bizarre grungy realism of the first game was a huge part of its character.
There goes the civilized world.
To remove that was a blow to a lot of players, myself included. The first game had its issues, sure, it's far from perfect, but between the dirty bin-filled alleys to the almost spiritual glow of the subway, I don't think I've ever seen a game capture New York in such a mesmerizingly grim way. And again, to reiterate, the art direction of the sequel is still wonderful, and I'm sure countless people will prefer it hands down. But for me, the first game was a flawed, clunky, gritty, laggy, golden standard that I long to see more of. Of course, you have to bear in mind, the sequel was developed by a different studio after the collapse of Starbreeze, with the sequel being developed by Digital Extremes, who had just treated the world to a little known and in my opinion highly underrated action game known as Dark Sector. The same studio that would later go on to create the wildly successful spiritual successor Warframe, released in March 2013. Holy shit, that was a tongue twister. With Dark Sector in the bag, the team were used to crafting brutal, gory combat, but this could also explain the totally different art direction. The unique lighting and style of the first game was a result of Starbreeze's in-house Riddick engine. Without that, they would have struggled to recreate this bizarre style in an accurate manner. So maybe, rather than risk looking like a generic attempt at mimicry, they felt more comfortable with a drastic change, created from the ground up in their own comfortable style. Either way, this is what we're working with. 2 very different approaches to design that are better appreciated separately than compared competitively. On the upside, despite being set years in the future, he now looks closer to his canonical age. This version looks like the son of the middle-aged man from the first game. Arriving at our local spot, our bellies are rumbling and we're ready for some dinner. It's a classy introduction that demonstrates not only the financial power we've gained, but also the social clout, swanning about in a high-end restaurant in full display, hiding from no one.
Oh, sorry about that, Gaston.
Behavior we've seen countless times in cinema. It's a statement. Here I am, a criminal, rubbing shoulders with the rich, the powerful, the elite, and there's not a goddamn thing anyone can do about it.
So say goodnight to the bad guy.
Reaching our table, we're greeted by two scantily clad young ladies, a couple Jackie might have had some rough and tumble with in the recent past.
Remember us from the Candy Club?
But despite his charm, since Jenny's death, he's detached from it all, going through the motions, having zero recollection of who these girls are.
Sure he does.
Trust me, ladies. I wish I did.
Unmoved by Jackie's lack of recognition, they proceed with their evening of pasta fazool, sexual tension and limoncello when their conversation grinds to a halt. Death is arguably a stopping point for any conversation.
Jackie, get down!
Jackie's under attack. It's a hit and he's in trouble, having crushed his leg when a jeep slammed through the window. Of course, this would usually be little more than a splinter for our boy, but not wanting to unleash the darkness, he can't heal the wound. So, with Vinny dragging us through the restaurant turned war zone, we take hold of our first firearm and gun down any hitmen that pop out like ducks in a gallery. Throughout this journey, Jackie is tormented by the darkness, who goads him into finally using his powers to unleashing the darkness and undoing years of dedication and hard work.
Come to the dark.
And you have to put yourself in Jackie's shoes. He's in agony, his leg is torn to pieces, the pain would be unbearable. Not only that, but he's still under attack. The enemies are relentless and his friends are dying.
Hold on, Jackie. Pick up the stairs.
The pull to give in would be tantalizing, yet he resists, sticking to his guns, literally and metaphorically, as we're dragged into the kitchen and dumped on the floor by an out-of-breath Vinny. Not that there's much oxygen to be sucked up around these parts, because a gas cable's been cut and the room is filling with the flammable good stuff.
Oh, Jesus. Smell gas. Hurry up, Vinny.
Something our pursuers are quick to exploit.
Burn in hell, Estacado!
Waking from the blast, somehow, Jackie still isn't dead.
Never again, you son of a bitch. I am your salvation.
That doesn't mean the old darkness isn't still knocking on our door, more confident than ever with our options running out.
Embrace the darkness, Jackie.
Turning towards the crumbled wall, we see a new character observing us and remarking on our father.
Stronger than his father.
Clearly, this is an important character, and he knows our papa, a man who played host to the darkness long before our fine selves. But he doesn't stay for long, leaving a thug to clean up the mess that is Jackie Estacado. Crawling forward, there's no way out, no other choice, and the darkness knows it, demanding one last time that we open Pandora's box. And with revenge on our mind, we do just that, allowing in classic fashion the darkness to take control and demonstrate its immense power.
My friend!
Oh! What the hell is that? You see that? Holy shit, it's the devil!
We're in the game proper now, with full control over Jackie, a newly healed leg, and the darkness serpents returning over our cold little shoulders. Vinny, also being a fucking unkillable entity, ate the explosion like a champ.
Jackie?
Finding him perched on a bin with only mild injuries. He's out of action, but well enough to guide our next move.
The rest of our crew's out front, so you can meet up with him on the street. Give him hell, Jackie.
For the next while, we get to grips with the controls, whipping and slashing, throwing pipes to impale, and executing enemies to gain health. This is a new addition to the combat. After damaging an enemy, there's a brief window where they can be grabbed and held in the air like a 2-pound lamb shank. From here, they can be savagely dismantled for extra health, extra ammo, a boost to our ability recharge rate, or to summon a demonic shield. After this, for the most part, it's business as usual. But Jackie, he's suffering mentally, seeing Jenny lurking just out of sight.
Jenny? Hey, wait!
A ghost haunting his waking hours. Or, if you listen to the darkness, a lie.
Lies!
Reaching the main street, we're finally able to combine all our new abilities and unleash hell with the game's first taste of real combat, and it is a treat. Having reactive and faster paced combat was a clear goal of the developers. We no longer cycle through and equip one power at a time. Instead, we use them all simultaneously, whipping an enemy, throwing a black hole and spawning a horde of flies, all without skipping a beat. It's super dynamic and captures the unstoppable brutality we could only witness when the darkness took over in the first game. The best comparison I can make is that in the first, the darkness feels like a demonic backpack, offering cool powers we could access, but not ever really feeling like an extension of the player. Whereas in the sequel, we are the darkness and the darkness is us. There are a few interesting changes made to the core powers too, namely gun channeling and the black hole. With the former, you can't call upon demonic weapons anymore. Instead, we power up our current guns, increasing their damage output significantly. It only lasts a matter of seconds, and it destroys the target's bodies, meaning there's no hearts to consume, and therefore no ability to heal. And a quick segue while we're here, but as you might have noticed, an ancient wrong is being righted here. In the sequel, eating hearts is exclusively a left serpent activity. After a whole game of being teased and bullied, this poor demonic entity can eat its little heart out. The black hole's also undergone a massive redesign. It's no longer something we can spawn on the fly. Instead, enemies occasionally drop black hole power-ups that we can throw to unleash the suck hole of death. Another change is to the upgrade system. Consuming hearts previously caused the darkness to increase its power level, offering longer duration for its abilities. Now, every action, from eating hearts to performing executions, rewards us with a certain amount of dark essence we can use to upgrade Jackie. Some of these upgrades are minuscule, like increasing ammo capacity, while others are game changers. The most notable is darkness armor, a thin bulletproof layer that protects our body from small firearms as seen in the comics. Sadly, we never see it from an outside perspective. There's no Deus Ex cover mechanic where we can appreciate our special edition golden trench coat, but I just know we'll look fucking cool.
I never asked for this.
One last interesting change is that every ability is available for unlock right from the word go. Previously, on Lost, powers were earned by eating particularly evil hearts. Now, they're bought without ceremony. I'm not the biggest fan of this. Hunting down new hearts and the excitement and awe I felt every time really tickled my dopamine pickle. I mean, for the gun channeling ability, we literally descended into the depths of hell, pulling them from a contorted human totem in the middle of a wasteland. It was badass, and this system is not that. It will never be that guy.
Stupid fuck.
In any case, we put those talents to good use, clearing up the streets and putting the remaining hitmen on the run. A short-lived celebration, because the best pasta place in New York doesn't survive much longer. We're down on our ass and someone's approaching, thinking he can get a cheap shot in to kick a man while he's down. But we're not alone. An old friend is waiting in the wings to make a dramatic entrance.
You're not so tough now, are you?
Hello, monkey. It's been too long.
That's right, our old buddy the Darkling has returned, and just in time too.
What's that smell?
You tell me.
Last time round, Jackie could spawn in a variety of Darklings to tear through enemy ranks, creating a small army to gun, stab, and zap any who stood in our way. But that's not the case anymore. Darkling summoning, 'tis gone. In its place, we're assigned one specific Darkling who serves more as a co-protagonist. He's permanently dressed as fucking Ginger Spice. It's a disgrace.
Give us a hug.
Combat-wise, his main role is to distract enemies, biting their ankles and allowing Jackie to instantly execute them. It's helpful, but it's fair to say that the new Darkling isn't so much about offering combat skills or clearing paths in the environment. Instead, it plays a very specific role within the game's narrative, with a more defined personality and a better connection to Jackie. That said, controlling a small minion army, it's always been a huge part of Jackie's identity, and taking that away, it feels like a step back.
I got no choice.
Personally, I think having a mix of the two system would have worked great, still keeping the main Darkling to drive the plot, while also allowing Jackie to summon various weaker Darklings with quirky powers. New buddy in tow, we pursue the remaining enemies into the subway. Finally, the forbidden land of innocence is now our hunting ground, and no one is safe, be them hitmen or civvies. Not so picky now, are we, Mr. Darkness? But reaching the end of the tunnel, there's only one way forward. We too have to step onto the tracks, a move that nearly costs us our lives. Dipping into an alcove, a train flies past, just inches away from our face, straight into the remaining hitmen, causing it to derail and wreak havoc. The carts and tunnels are splattered with viscera. It's brutal. The damn thing looks like Invincible's just been clotted through it. Not that the Darkling is overly sympathetic. Following this path of destruction, we stumble across a surprising sight.
Jenny!
But approaching her, we're caught in a deadly trap. A train's coming at full speed and there's no time to escape. We're dead. But this time, we don't go to hell. The World War I setting is gone, and in its place is something equally as interesting.
Where the hell am I?
The first person we encounter here is Johnny, who's as unhinged as ever, matching the crazy environment we found ourselves in.
What are you doing here? And where the hell are we?
You let stupid stuff get in your head, then it gets all jumbled and weird, and people think you're nuts!
But it's not just Johnny, because up ahead we find Fat Tony, our old buddy, and he's completely off his rocker.
Tony, what happened? Did you find the guys who hit us at the restaurant?
Sometimes I can't tell the difference between a fruit and a vegetable.
Confused and angry, we stumble up the hallway before getting flashbanged and arriving back in New York to find the darkness taking our body for a spin. Death. Waiting for us up ahead, the crew's ready to take Jackie home, including Fat Tony, who's back to his normal self.
Jesus Christ, Jackie, we thought you was dead.
I handle things, like I always do.
Look, we gotta get out of here. You go in your limo and I'll go ride in the car with Vinny.
Agreeing we need to get the hell out of Dodge, we hop in our limo and speed homeward with three big questions playing on our mind. Who are the group behind this attack? What are their nefarious plans for the darkness? And what on earth was that insane vision we just had?
The first time you use the darkness, it scares you. But once you've tasted it, you can't stop.
Entering our home, I'm forced to make another Scarface reference because Jackie clearly owns the world Chico and everything in it. Gone is the shabby apartment that I assume he was residing in. Being a criminal legend, his new home is a sprawling penthouse mansion. All marble arches, African blackwood detailing, and croft-style gardens overlooking the peasants of New York from afar. It's not just highfalutin spaghetti appointments, we're asset rich too. Still not convinced? Well, we even have our very own English butler.
I'm so glad you're still alive, sir.
Now all we need is a freezer to lock him in, and we really are living the Tomb Raider dream. This is our hub space between each mission, where we can level up Jackie, practice our shooting, and interact with the fan favourites. Butch, Fat Tony, a freshly healed Vinny, even our old Mima is here, Sarah, who's ready to guide us if ever we stray from the path, which since Jenny's death is pretty much every day.
It's like she's not gone.
But she is gone, Jackie. You buried Jenny years ago.
I know.
Not everyone's on the same page though. Walking around, some of the muscle are understandably unsure about their demonic leadership.
You think the boss is a nut job? What, you don't? What did you say?
Of course, what you should be realizing by now is that the free roaming, it's completely gone. We no longer explore the streets of New York between missions. Once we're done a level, we hop in our whip and cruise home to lick our wounds. Personally, I was really disappointed by this. Walking around the hard streets was a big part of the first game's personality. It is more coherent and the action is faster flowing with less confusion on where and when we should be heading places, but I miss those moments of reflection after we've torn through an apartment like an animal, only to calm calmly sit on the subway and ride amongst the everyday man to our next destination. Much like the art style, this issue is a matter of preference. These are quite different games that will appeal to very different types of gamers. But right now, there's more important business to deal with. So we head to our office and confer with Jimmy to plan our revenge.
Whoever did this to us is dead. You hear me, Jimmy?
There's the Jackie Estacado I know.
A meeting that outlines one clear target.
Some guy named Swifty.
Oh, Swifty. Yeah, I know that prick. He left as soon as I got there.
Swifty, a gangster moving in the same circles that likely stabbed us in the back, fleeing the scene just before the attack, all skittish-like.
Chop, chop, I gotta run, let's move!
Oh, sorry about that, Gaston.
So, it's time to pay him a visit. But before that, seeing as the darkness is back, we need to track down our old buddy Johnny Powell. So, we task Vinny with bringing him home, something he claims the new guys will deal with.
Go bring him by for a visit. And hey, you don't have to be nice to him.
Whoever they are, hopefully they're up to the task. Seems like a big responsibility for some unnamed thugs, but hey, we've got bigger fish to fry. So we hop in the lift and head downtown.
There I was, hiding under the sheets, trying to convince myself that whatever was out there wasn't real. Thank God I outgrew that shit, huh?
Arriving in yet another dirty alley, we find Swifty pinned down at a dive bar. And much like Robocop securing a shootout, we tell our boys to stand down so we can begin our rampage.
Tell Vinny and the boys to seal off the exits. Nobody leaves here alive until I get some answers.
There's not much to say about this mission. It's all about revenge. Point us at Swifty and let us loose. A new age of darkness has arrived, ushered in by the hit track Wild Things. It's 30 minutes of pure destruction, broken up by two interesting encounters. First is a boss fight against Swifty, who, after escaping through the back of the pub and playing kissy couch through a junkyard, hops into a fucking bulldozer in what is probably the most pathetic boss in modern gaming, second only to the mechanic from Jedi Survivor. Although I have to imagine that this is somewhat of a conscious decision, it demonstrates that not only is the art style different, but the tone is as well. It's not grounded in any sense of reality. These gangsters are coming at you with cheesy construction machinery in impromptu arena fights mid-chase. Although this isn't the end of Swifty just yet, he flees the wreckage to be pursued further.
He's getting away, monkey!
Leaving us dazed and wondering if that encounter actually happened, or if it was some battle construction vehicle's fever dream.
Hayato Congo.
The second key moment happens right after this pseudo battle.
Hi, Ratface. What took you so long?
Jenny?
Were you expecting some other girlfriend?
Jackie is stunned, not knowing what to say and realizing he's losing his grip on reality.
I must be losing my fucking mind.
She speaks about their plans for his birthday, the excitement around becoming an adult, and even the pink cake we find in her apartment in the first game. It's the calm before the storm, and there's nothing we can do. Only embrace the fleeting moments he has with Jenny, something we'll never be able to do again, holding her close even though we know it's not real.
I think about you every day, Jenny. Every minute of every day.
And just as we're getting our belt unbuckled,
why don't you come back around here for a minute?
Reality comes crashing down.
Jenny?
A reality the darkness is quick to reinforce.
It deceives you.
Leave me alone!
You are alone, Jackie.
After this, there's one last romp through a series of warehouses before Swifty is finally cornered. There's nowhere to run and we want answers.
Their boss, their leader, whatever. I met him in a brothel, the Brimstone Club, all right?
Answers that are quickly cut short.
These guys are some kind of...
Hey! What the fuck are you doing?
Jackie, you bitch of a fucking rat!
What did you do? I needed him!
But we did get some decent information. The weird cult in question, they're based out of the Brimstone Club. And believe you me, holy justice shall rain down upon them. But before that, we did a little rest-a-poos back at the mansion. You know, dry clean the suit, clean the giblets out of our hair. And while we're there, we're told that good old Johnny Boy's been picked up by the gang.
Johnny Powell. You look like shit.
He's quick to plead his case, not wanting to incur our wrath.
Jackie, I did what I could to help you control the darkness. but being around you was becoming a problem for me.
But whether he likes it or not, he's back on the payroll with the goal of researching whatever group is hunting us.
Bunch of assholes just came after my entire operation. And whoever gave them this envelope is connected to the darkness somehow. I need you to figure out who they are and what they know about it.
Returning to business, we gather the Cannoli Council, inform them about the Shag House, and learn that there's already been talk around town about the new owners.
Camille says she's seen some weird guy with a limp go in and out of the place. Says he looks like Nosferatu on crack.
Sounds like we've got our target, but before starting the mission, there's one more stop off. Aunt Sarah wants to check in again, make sure we're doing all right, what with the memory of Jenny boiling to the surface.
Jenny was a wonderful girl, one of a kind, and she loved you. But if the roles had been reversed, would you want her to not go on with her life?
A truly lovely lady she is. No matter how bad things get, at least we have her warmth and wisdom to guide us.
Oh, I miss her so much.
We all do. But she's just a memory now, Jackie. And if you're out there always looking for her, you're going to get yourself hurt.
Heading to the brothel, things are as brothely as one might expect in various ways. A cannier show.
Hi there, baby. You looking for a good time?
All I know is that an unspecified amount of developers had to spend weeks constructing these acts. It's something we don't talk about enough. The strip clubs and car hookers in GTA, the horse balls in Red Dead Redemption, or the lap dance in Metro. Someone had to spend hours burning the midnight oil to bring this to life.
And healthy!
A contact's been arranged to meet us, a woman named Venus, and this lady of the night is quote-unquote friends with Vinny. And after our highly demonetizable tour of the office...
Are you listening to me?
Yeah.
She leads us up to her bedroom, arms us, and tells Jackie that the mysterious hunchbacked man from the start of the game, he's residing on the top floor where women are disappearing.
We figured they was just shooting pornos up there. But then, Chantal went to go see that hunchback guy on the 3rd floor. Now we ain't seen her in a month.
Ominous warning delivered. It's our time to shine. And if the brothel wasn't filled with enough misery and bodily fluids as it was, it's about to get a whole lot worse. Tearing through the makeshift cubicles that are almost certainly not up to workplace safety standards, we encounter an impassable door. The fuse box is blocked by an unbreakable light source, and the only way to get through is by playing as the darkling.
Neat little trick, innit?
How does it play? Well, I was stuck in the vent straight away, and to get through, I had to turn on VSync and jump at the vent exit repeatedly until I frame glitched through. This is a great example of how complex video game development is. Because what even is that glitch, and how does turning on VSync fix it? Other than that, it's a great addition. It's primarily stealth based, with the darkling lurking in the shadows waiting for a thug to show their back before pouncing. Although you can still go in hot and kill anyone dumb enough to run around the corner you're hiding at. And now this is a little bit OP, because you're invincible when executing, and it's an instant kill even when the enemy is facing you, which means as a darkling, you are canonically stronger than he who controls it. This serves as a bit of disconnect to the gameplay sections with Jackie, wherein the darkling can do little more than nibble at a thug's ankle, but is a god tier killer during their gameplay sections. Another great example of this is the Mary Jane sections from Spider-Man. All the hunters take several hits from actual superhuman to put down, then along comes Mary Jane, able to insta-kill the strongest of them with a wee little taser. Now I understand that it has to work this way for the plot to progress smoothly, and it's miles better than the pure stealth agony from the first game, but it's so hard to ignore the sheer disconnect this serves within the story and the roles these alleged badasses serve. It's the entire reason I struggled to enjoy the Avengers game. They had to balance everyone's power out to make it play coherently, meaning the Hulk was able to damage a mech just as much as Black Widow could with a quick jab and pistol whip.
I bet that's gonna hurt tomorrow.
Insane levels of Hulk slander I cannot abide by. Crawling through the vents, we get a rare opportunity to observe how this group operates when they're not fighting for their lives, making serious claims about the darkness and their desires to tame and control it for their own nefarious purposes.
The relic will hold it.
Once we have it, the world will be ours.
Slashing the generator, we return to Jackie and face a new wave of enemies. Although these are no ordinary thugs. Their faces and body are covered in a corrupt armor that significantly increases their damage resistance. This marks the addition of a new breed of enemy to contend with, cultists who are suckling at the teat of the darkness. And given how much more powerful we are in the sequel, the addition of the increasingly abnormal and powerful enemies was a necessary and welcome touch. Goons aside, we quickly discovered that their operation, it's not slapdash. That is to say, they've been keeping an eye on us for a very long time, with a whole board dedicated to our lives, our friends, and even Jenny.
These guys know everything about me.
The location she died being marked, and an interesting note beside her name, Host. After her death, she was crossed off. No longer an issue to contend with, but they know our business inside out. Fighting our way towards the top floor, our path takes us into a seemingly abandoned room, and reaching the center, floodlights blast us as endless waves of armored thugs rush in.
You're losing it, Jackie!
We open fire, but with our abilities dampened, it's not long before we're overrun.
So predictable. Prepare the siphon.
Waking moments later to the old Jesus Christ treatment. Nailed to a cross, we find several men toying with a device they refer to as the siphon, a relic that appears to be draining the darkness from Jackie.
You've been keeping something that was once lost, something that doesn't belong to you. Now you have to choose to give it back. What happens to you is of secondary concern. I want the darkness!
This loony wants the darkness for himself, claiming we can either hand it over consensually or they'll take it by force, having attacked our mansion and taken our boys hostage.
Jackie! Oh, Jackie, the whole damn place is overrun!
We're given a choice here. One of the two have to die, Eddie or Frank, and the choice is ours. Lack of compliance and the game will choose for you.
Make a choice, left or right.
It's very similar to the start of Wolfenstein, with none of the interesting after effects.
Help me make a choice.
Who dies here? It changes nothing plot-wise. Hell, I'd choose both if I could. It's not even like there are cool buddies. Get Butch or Vinny down there and I'd be crying. But these guys, they're working off the stocking fillers right now.
You son of a bitch!
Whoa, that one got wet.
Choice made, our assailants know we need more motivation. So he issues a more cutting command to hunt down and kill our defenseless aunt.
Find the old lady and tear off both of her arms!
So while the thugs lay siege to our home, Jackie's subjected to new heights of pain in an attempt to retrieve the darkness.
Jackie, you must resist.
But while his physical form is taking a battering, his mind goes for a little wander, literally breaking free from its confinement to explore the darkness plane.
Project the darkness.
Never!
Arguing that the darkness has nothing to offer us, it pulls out one last trick to keep us in line.
Will do my bidding.
Give me one good reason!
Jenny, her soul trapped by the darkness deep in this other realm.
Her soul is mine. You will do my bidding!
It's the ultimate control over a man who would do anything to free her.
Jenny's dead, idiot. Focus!
Even if it is a trick, Jackie can't take that risk. He has to keep the darkness. So while they're preparing a ritual...
You leave me no choice but to use the siphon. Mr. Peevish, the binding rituals are nearly prepared.
We resist, calling upon the power of trench coats and breaking free from the spike to pin down our torturer.
He's free! The host broke free!
Something old crutchy boy ain't too pleased about, talking the most about offering us an easy way out.
I tried to give you an out, Jackie, so don't ever say you weren't given a choice.
Before threatening to take everything away, our auntie included.
By the time you get out, your Aunt Sarah will be gutted and boned, and you'll have gained nothing.
Fleeing the scene, he torches the building while our hand heals up, giving the darkness a chance to offer one last bargain.
The siphon!
For Jenny!
Easy trade, baby boy. Just let me quickly escape the burning building and save my family first. Fighting through the collapsing ruins, we barely escape as the building explodes.
Clunky! I found him! Hey! Butch!
Up here!
Holy shit, Jackie! We thought you were done for!
Our boys are waiting in the alley below, so we make our way down as the darkness revels in its newfound control. And the dynamic here of Jenny's soul being trapped is brilliant. We have no way to know if it's the truth or a lie the darkness is using to control us. We know the darkness can't be trusted. We know it lies and twists the truth, but we can't risk Jenny losing her soul and living an eternity in pain. So, against all sense, we have to play along.
We gotta get home before they kill everybody. Come on!
But first, Aunt Sarah's in trouble, so we speed back to our newly sieged abode.
There was this priest that used to come around the orphanage, Father Alonzo. Yeah, I know what you're thinking, that it ain't that kind of story.
The mansion that once served as our sanctuary is now a war zone. Our champagne and caviar replaced with blood and viscera. Which, in hindsight, explains the large, unused garden areas. They were anticipating our eventual murder crawl, and I'm happy to oblige. I just hope our butler is okay, and as Lord is my witness, I will feed him sand for letting all these thugs into our homes.
Very good, sir.
The level begins in the garage downstairs, where we encounter another new enemy type. Dressed in a white medical-looking trench coat, these lads have a high-powered light gun perched on their shoulder, able to blur our vision and dampen the darkness. Killing them, or at least shooting out the light source, should always be a priority. Establishing this difficulty balance is super tricky for power fantasy games. How do they present a challenge to the player without minimizing their allegedly unmatchable strength? The answer is mechanics like this. We still feel like a badass, but there are moments of panic and vulnerability if we're not careful and paying attention to which targets we prioritize. Upstairs, we regroup, rearm, and speak to Johnny, who's been waiting for us to arrive. And true to his word, he's found out exactly who we're up against.
Johnny, talk to me. What am I up against here?
The seal on the envelope you found on Swifty? It belongs to the Brotherhood.
The who?
It's nothing we hadn't pieced together already. They're an ancient evil cult wanting to take the darkness from Jackie, but now we have a name.
They're led by a guy named Victor, high priest, royalty to them. He's not a good person, understand?
Entering the mansion, we shoot our way upstairs and reach Aunt Sarah, only to get knocked on our asses.
Jackie, no!
Jackie's one weakness, a singular buckshot.
No!
Aunt Sarah's quick to assure us that we'll be fine, that we'll come back no matter what happens.
You'll come back from this, you know you will.
But the same can't be said for her. So sitting helplessly, for some reason, we watch as she's murdered, after which Agent 47 strolls over and buys the Brotherhood some time.
Wrong choice, Jackie boy.
Jackie, help me, please.
It's very similar thematically to the death of Jenny in the first game. In this scene, Jackie is powerless and the sole responsibility for the death of a loved one. Although unlike Jenny's passing, in which Jackie was forced to inaction by the darkness, I don't understand why we couldn't save Sarah. He just accepts her death after a minor amount of damage. I thought maybe one of the thugs had a light set up in the room, but that's not the case. There's no more light here than the rest of the house, so it just feels like the plot was happening for plot's sake. Our beloved aunt didn't have to die.
Wrong choice, Jackie boy.
But such is life, and waking up, once again, we're back in the asylum with Vince telling us we're sick, that the darkness is all in our head.
The darkness isn't real. It's just in your mind.
What?
I'm sorry, but I know you get confused by all this. These bad dreams are a part of being sick. You gotta help us get you well again.
And once we're alone, we walk over to the mirror to discover a very different Jackie. Head and shoulders be damned, he's gone full American History X. We're a patient at this institution, with official Darkness comics by our bed and scribbles all over the wall outlining several plot points from across the games. This is the most interesting question the Darkness presents to the player. Is Jackie an insane man, one who's reading the Darkness comics and living a fantasy, or are we really a mafioso hitman wielding unspeakable powers in the dark of night? It's an important question to ponder because the darkness whispering in our ear, suggesting awful, wicked things, it could easily be seen as an analogy of various types of mental disorders that would land Jackie exactly where we find him now.
What the fuck is happening to me?
Either way, we need answers, and walking to the lobby, a few more regular faces appear. Dolfo, who now views himself as Adolf.
What I really want to do is paint.
Oh, not you too.
Johnny, who's still mad as a box of frogs.
They got bad wrist from all the computers. I tried to get your rocket in here, but it was too big.
And a new addition, Tom, with 2 snake-like hand puppets that I'd wager represent the serpents lingering over Jackie's shoulders.
We're working on a plan to escape this place disguised as a band-aid. Yeah, but we're not sure if we can pull it off.
Thanks for nothing.
It's all very fucky, and you just want to go apeshit, unleash the darkness and tear the place up, get answers the old-fashioned way, but there's nothing you can do. You're powerless. All we can do is visit Dr. James in his office, stepping inside to find none other than Jimmy the Grape running the gaff.
Now I know this ain't real. No fucking way you're a doctor.
Sitting down, he explains that we're cuckoo, we're cracked in the head, we're missing a few screws, we're a sandwich short of a picnic, and no matter how hard we protest, all we're doing is cementing how crazy we look.
Don't you see what's happening, Jimmy? The darkness is inside our heads.
You mean the voice you hear, Jackie? The one that makes you do bad things?
There is something wrong with this place. You're not keeping me here.
Let's just stay chill.
After a while, we lose our shit, at which point Dr. Grape recommends we visit the resident nurse, one with a notable name.
Edward, take him to see Nurse Jenny.
Come on, Jackie.
Just try to stay calm, Jackie.
And as the piano builds, we enter her office to find Jenny alive and well, seeing us as little more than a patient to be cured.
Jenny, I don't know what this place is, but I'm gonna get us out of here.
Why would I want to get out of here, Jackie? I work here. I'm here to help you.
This is torture of a different kind. It's hard to imagine the frustrations you would feel if someone you loved and lost was finally stood in front of you and all they saw was a stranger. No grand reunion or loving sentiment, just cold professional distance.
Now, last time we talked, you were telling me about the delusions you've been having.
A scene that's not too dissimilar to the appearance of Maria in Silent Hill 2.
James, honey, did something happen to you?
We try our best to convince Jenny and possibly ourselves that this is just a dream, a trick by the darkness, but Jenny's not buying it.
You were dead. I saw you die.
We talked about this, remember? When you don't take your medicine, you have a hard time separating fiction from reality. You get a lot of bad dreams when your serotonin's out of whack. It makes you think you're remembering things that never happened.
So, like any sane man, we lunge forward, ready to rescue her with foam spittle forming in the corner of our mouth.
We're getting out of here, now!
Jackie,
whoa,
no!
Whoa, big guy. Cold white! Easy, Jackie.
Let go of me!
God.
Come on.
You were doing so...
But we're quickly dragged back by security, pulled away like a madman, but before we're medicated, Johnny jumps on Jimmy's back, allowing us to break free.
Geronimo!
Johnny, cut it out! So as the staff hunt us down, we dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge our way through the facility and burst out the fire exit.
There's nothing out there for you.
Only to awaken our penthouse study with Johnny hovering over us.
You said the darkness won't let you die, but I never believed you. Took it 4 days to repair you after you got shot in the face.
The Brotherhood's gone, but so is our aunt, and the funeral's today.
They arranged the funeral for your Aunt Sarah today.
God damn it. God damn it. It's my fault they killed her.
It was that prick Bragg. After he shot you, your Aunt Sarah, Jackie, I'm so sorry.
Jesus. It's all going to shit.
Burial aside, we tell Johnny about Jenny and our plans to work with the darkness to free her, and it's an idea Johnny isn't sold on.
If I don't play ball, it says it'll keep her forever.
Not that I blame him for his suspicion.
Jackie, that siphon in the darkness's hands, it's not good. It's too powerful. With the siphon, it could overwhelm you. Take control completely.
I don't have a choice. I won't let it hurt Jenny.
Walking around the mansion, it's in tatters. Bullet holes in every wall, plants smashed, and the lobby chandelier shattered. Thankfully, Butch is on the scene, playing visceral cleanup as he so often does, plunging entire bodies down the toilet to ensure nobody's asking no questions.
Jesus Christ. Jackie?
Upstairs, it's a somber scene. The altar to Jenny is smashed, and on the floor, a pool of blood stains the carpet. Aunt Sarah's blood. We couldn't save her, but just like Jenny, we can avenge her. So we speak to Jimmy and get the funeral underway.
She was one tough broad, you know. Funeral is today. We should get down there soon.
Yeah. Let's go.
Driving over, Jackie suffers from another vision of the asylum. Historically, this change only happened after Jackie died, a wicked container for his mind, while the darkness reconstructs our body. But now, it's slipping into our waking moments, lurking behind the veil to crumble our reality the moment we let our guard down. It can't be a good sign. This alternate timeline, it's starting to gain control.
Jackie, none of this is real.
Here you go, Jackie.
Arriving at the cemetery, we step out, umbrella in hand, to lay our lovely aunt to rest, and with the patter of rain, all we can do is reflect on our past mistakes.
People are gonna be glad to see you back in one piece, boss. I tell you, it wouldn't have been the same seeing your Aunt Sarah off without the old Jackie Estacado.
Since the death of Jenny, Sarah was Jackie's last connection to humanity, the last person in this life that wasn't a violent gangster or cold-hearted hitman. Her death marks the second pure-hearted, innocent woman to lose their life in demonstration to Jackie. But as Paulie quickly discovered, this was the worst decision the Brotherhood could have made, because this vendetta just became personal. Sarah will be avenged no matter the cost.
I know this is a tough pill to swallow, Jackie. But she's home now, right? Buried here with the rest of your family. It's a shame Jenny wasn't buried here too, you know.
Oh, but those dirty buggers aren't done yet. They've got one last nasty trick up their sleeve.
I want you to know I think you're...
Attacking the funeral, a cowardly move that sends old auntie sprawling onto the cold concrete floor. Now, if Jackie wasn't already pissed off, he was. Disrespecting this poor lady's send-off is a step too far, my friend, and lucky for us, the man responsible for killing her in the first place, Bragg, he's in the cemetery leading the assault.
How many times do I have to shoot her before she surrenders?
Although something's different with him, he's cloaked in dark essence and able to both teleport at will and slam dunk dark balls. These abilities were inherited from the slither of power the Brotherhood siphoned from Jackie and the brothel. If they got the whole shebang, nothing would stand in their way. Although it does raise a good question. Where the fuck is our teleporting ability? Huh, game? They suckle at our teat and get abilities beyond even our comprehending? Smells like bullshit to me. The rest of this level proceeds much like our revenge on Swifty. There isn't a great deal of depth to discuss, but we can't discount how ironic the graveyard is as a location to unleash the darkness.
Punish him.
In the context of video games, graveyards typically serve as tense, spooky locations for the protagonist to survive, traversing the land of the dead and wondering what abominations are going to pop out and drag us down. But here, we are the monster. I just hope the graveyard offers bulk deals on these lots because I'm making a lot of product right now. Speaking of, with the Brotherhood's growing dark influence, there are two new enhanced enemies to contend with. First is Man with Shield, a Homo sapien classic, second only to Man with Spear. To take this guy down, we need to destroy their protective layer before yoinking their shield from them, either wielding it ourselves or turning it into a deadly frisbee. The second enemy type is Bayonetta's less promiscuous brother, the whip wielder, able to whip our weapon right out of our hands. They're not the most interesting, but if you look closer at their whip, the head isn't a blade or hook, it's a little darkness mouth. How adorable is that? None of these guys are a real challenge on their own. It's only when several enemy types coordinate their attacks that we find ourselves genuinely strained. Occasions where Jackie's blinded by a light gun with our weapon pulled from us as a shielded thug marches forward, leaving us longing for the days where the best a thug could do was wear an especially well-tailored suit. Eventually we corner Bragg, where we're treated to our second boss battle. Not an Aggie bulldozer this time, a real fight. Alongside waves of cultists, Bragg teleports around the graveyard, shooting and shoulder barging Jackie in his best attempt to use our own powers against us. But try as he will, much like the Highlander, there can only be one. And falling to his knees, he makes one last arrogant taunt.
Finish. Go ahead. Kill me. You know you want to.
This is my reward. I welcome this suffering in the name of the Brotherhood.
Before telling us where to find his boss, who is by no means hiding.
Hiding from weakness like you? He's at Hellgate. Hellgate, don't you, Jackie?
Information retrieved. It's time to avenge our aunt, which consists of a form of execution somewhere between a blood eagle and that one scene from the Temple of Doom. So, Hellgate is our next destination, an old amusement park by the pier, a site chosen with cruel intent, being a location Jackie and Jenny spent their formative years exploring together, and arriving, we find Jenny's memory lingering.
Oh my god, you should see this place. So, are you gonna win me a prize, Ratface?
Here, the two lovers reunite, passing between attractions where we can wow Jenny with our impressive hitman skills, except this time we're whacking ducks and bank robbers instead of civilians fleeing the subway. Earn enough points and we can secure the grand prize, a giant teddy.
I can't believe it. You are so awesome.
Big winner! Big winner! Way to go, kid. Step right up to claim the big prize.
But as we turn to celebrate, the memory fades, leaving a bear in its wake and an ambush swinging into action. The second attraction here is the Hell House, LLC, where we act as hero and shield Jenny from various dangers.
Oh my god, this is gonna be so scary. Promise you'll protect me.
Jenny?
Both figurative and literal. Literally. The encounter's super easy going, with enemies coming one or two at a time from easy to predict locations, lining themselves up to be knocked down like the paper ducks moments before. But, and I'll say this with my chest, it's probably the second best haunted house in gaming, second only to Paulie Manor in Silent Hill 3.
That's Danny.
It's a niche award for sure, but the darkness clinched it. Well then everyone take a bow. Sure, it's all just animatronics, but it was gruesome. Someone needs to speak to the fair's manager because this shit is fucked up. What degenerate thought this was family fun? This place is like a discarded Outlast trial. And who cares if it's animatronics anyway? Have you not watched Five Nights at Freddy's starring Peter Bread? That was some spooky shit. Keeping Jenny safe just as we're about to revel in our reward.
However, can I thank you?
She disappears, with the ride concluding just in front of an Iron Maiden with banging echoing from within.
Jenny!
Rushing over, we open it only to get blasted into the spikes by Victor.
Comfortable?
We're trapped. This relic, the Thorn Bed, it's designed to contain the Darkness host, meaning they have all the time they need to drain our powers.
I tried to help you, but now we do this the hard way. Mr. Peevish, prepare the Thorn Bed for transport to the mansion.
For the first time, Jackie's in serious trouble. With no way out and the siphon in Victor's possession, we're going to lose the Darkness. The Brotherhood are going to lock Jackie into the milking table and drain him dry, so to speak.
But that was a long time ago.
And while we're left in the dark, wondering what happens next, we awake inside the Asylum's janitor closet, having cut ourselves on the various rakes and blades that serve almost like an Iron Maiden spikes.
I think he scraped up against the tools. Looks like a frickin' Iron Maiden in there.
Jackie didn't escape during his last stun, and now the fire escape's chained shut to prevent any further escapades.
What the hell? What's going on here?
Nurse Jenny's still skulking about in her office, but after our last encounter, she's scared we might physically harm her, so we're barred from speaking.
Jenny!
Oh, no. He's not ready to see me again.
Jenny, wait!
Pretty boy. Jenny doesn't want to see you right now. Heard you got a little too touchy-feely last time. Can't say I blame you.
Naturally, this leaves only one course of action, grabbing a shiv and stabbing a son bitch.
You're gonna regret this.
An item Adolf happily guides us toward.
I need something right here, right now. Like a knife or a stick.
We must start the planning at once. Get into the janitor's closet. You will find what you need in there.
Reaching said closet, it's locked shut, and Jackie's fixing to break in the old-fashioned way when a familiar voice stops us.
You don't want to do that, monkey.
What?
Here you go. Come on, we ain't got much time.
Inside, we close the door and turn to face our old friend.
Hello, monkey!
Turns out this little shit has a hidden ability. The ability to turn any cupboard into a Cenobite Narnia, transporting us to a corrupted realm. The same location Jenny's soul was trapped inside.
You're in and out, mate.
Following the Darkling, we demand it take us to her, but it won't, claiming that there's no time.
I need to get to her.
There's no time, monkey. You can't let them take the darkness.
And that this dream is like Freddy Krueger's. If he dies here, he's dead for good. There's no coming back, no more helping Jackie.
You see, I can't die in the real world, but in the asylum, the darkness can kill me. Brown red, game over. No coming back for me.
So, agreeing to keep the darkness out of Brotherhood hands, we leave this prison and take control of the darkling who spawned upstairs in some large mansion.
Hurry! Hang on, it won't be more than a tick.
This is the second and last opportunity to control the darkling, so make sure you savor every massively overpowered moment. Working our way towards the basement, we discover the Iron Maiden hanging above a blazing fire as the darkness is taken from us.
Reclaim me, Jackie! Or Jenny, it burns forever!
Yes, we have the darkness. The siphon's power is now complete.
Leaving Jackie an ordinary human, one that's about to get cooked alive, Anne Marie style.
I'm going to piss on your ashes.
Saying that Jackie's far from an ordinary man, because no matter how low that device lowers, no matter how long he cooks, he refuses to die. I sat there for nearly 20 minutes straight waiting for a teppanyaki Jackie to pop out, but nothing happens. And even after we've set him free, he's burnt to a crisp with more holes than a pincushion, yet he still marches forward like it's little more than a hangnail.
Gotta get...
Me? You look like a cactus.
Victor has the darkness in the siphon. We have to get it back.
Powerless Jackie is way scarier than the darkness, I'm telling you, but this moment is important to note because it's the first time since Jackie turned 21 that the darkness hasn't owned us. We're vulnerable, but also we're free.
I have to get the darkness back.
Well, freedom was fun while it lasted.
Walking through the basement, we quickly stumble across a secret study where Jackie makes a surprising realization. This old, decrepit mansion, it belongs to his father.
The hell? This is my father's office. What are these assholes doing in my old house?
Yeah, you're back home, mate.
We don't know why the Brotherhood are using his father's mansion as their new base of operations, but we do know that his father's weapon, a model 1887, is there for the taking. It's the most powerful weapon in the game, one that pairs with a quick reload perk to make us a killing machine. And with our powers gone, it couldn't have come at a better time. We can't rely on old tactics anymore. Good old-fashioned firepower is all we've got. Running and gunning until we encounter Victor's goon getting imbued with the powers from the siphon.
Break him. You may use his corpse as you please.
This gives him an ability that Jackie once again is lacking, summoning explosive darklings.
My pets.
This encounter is a twist on the fight with the Darkness avatar from the first game, but better, given that aiming is now a viable combat option and the Darkling AI is ever so slightly more adaptable, jumping over barrels and coming from behind to launch a surprising and very deadly attack. You have to constantly listen out for the pitter-patter of their little feet and keep on top killing them if a powerless Jackie wants to stand any chance at taking this guy down. It's a fun fight. Seeing the roles of power reversed and longing for them to return makes you appreciate just how powerful we were moments before and how badly we need to claim the darkness back to stand any chance at getting revenge.
Stop now, and I'll kill you quick.
And after killing Peevish, a small amount of dark residue is left behind, just enough to return some of our former glory. It's interesting because despite getting our powers back, we hear nothing from the darkness, and at first I thought maybe this was a scenario where Jackie had all the benefits, none of the cons, something even the Darkling implies.
What you got there is darkness powers, alright, but you don't got no darkness inside you to power them.
But after heading upstairs a few minutes later, it turns out the darkness was with us, it just didn't have much to say.
Free the darkness.
This highlights my biggest and probably most controversial gripe with the sequel. The darkness isn't that interesting or involved in the sequel. I know, tear my home down, salt my fields and pillage my women, but to me it feels like the darkness is barely present throughout the game, and worse still, there's almost no back and forth between the two.
Punish him.
In the first game, the darkness was a genuinely terrifying presence. A tense battle for control was palpable. Take the scene where Jackie is forced to watch Jenny die. It was heartbreaking, and you hate the darkness despite needing its power to exact revenge. There's nothing like that in the sequel, and I do understand that Jackie's gaining more control, and he's had years to acclimatize to the influence of the darkness, but other than a few key moments,
I'm done being your puppet.
they never seem to communicate with one another in any true capacity, and this moment is the best example. We had completely lost the darkness for the first time since Jackie turned 21, but when we get him back, there's no dialogue. He's completely silent until we reach the upper level, and even then, all he does is drop a one-liner.
That's for her, not for you.
Where's the struggle, the manipulation, the hatred, the vying for control?
You have passed my test.
And I don't think it's just in my head either. I found 2 videos online compiling the Darkness VOs from the first and second game. And I know the sequel is a few hours shorter, but the first had 56 minutes worth of unsettling, well-crafted dialogue.
I offer no escape.
Whereas the sequel had 8 measly minutes.
Use my power or die.
That is an insane difference, especially given that the darkness and its dynamic with Jackie should be the main focal point. It's what makes this franchise so special. And don't get me wrong, Mike Patton was still insanely talented, and on its own merits, the voice work here would be wonderful.
Run!
But when we compare the dialogue in the sequel
The darkness.
to the first game,
I'll put your teeth to the grindstone.
the delivery is night and day. The fear, grit, and hatred in the first rendition is unmatched.
Kill them. Kill them all.
Partially because of how the entity was written, with the sequel having the darkness constantly screeching about everything.
Destroy them.
But also because of the after effects used on the audio. Starbreeze had the perfect post-processing to convey that crisp, detached, booming evil.
This is a mistake.
The exact same after effect Mama Max went on to use many years later.
And I'm going to prove that to you today.
Eventually we track Victor down in the lobby of this lavish estate where he explains the connection between our father and this group.
He reached out to us many years ago. He'd heard of the siphon and was desperate to find it. Your father wanted a cure for the darkness. He wanted a cure for his little boy.
Turns out it was old Pops that got the family involved with the Brotherhood in the first place. Not wanting his son to suffer through the darkness, he offered its power to the Brotherhood in exchange for a normal life. The dynamic between Jackie and his father, it's intriguing. One that isn't really given much depth within the video game adaptations, aside from a few offhand comments from Jackie.
My father said to me, Jackie, you can't outrun your fate, but you sure as hell gotta try.
I'd love to see their relationship expanded on more, because not only is Jackie stealing his dad's thunder, so to speak, but once the powers were passed to Jackie, he was taking his life too.
Keep clinging to what little dark essence is left inside you. I can sense it leaving you as I speak. Even if you survive this, I just have to wait until your batteries run out. Please take care of our little friend here. When he is broken, bring him to me.
Surviving Victor's ambush, we follow his taunting apparitions upstairs and into the attic where this saga finally comes to an end.
Your time with the darkness is over.
One last boss fight, this time against Victor, who using the siphon does fuck all, to be honest. He just teleports around, bitching and moaning that we won't just roll over and about how unfair his life is.
Oh, no, not the beast! Not the bitch!
He's an F-tier boss, particularly so because this style of boss has already been done several times, what with Peevish and Bragg. You'd think having access to the power of the darkness concentrated into a deadly tool would allow Victor Frankenstein to pull something crazy out of the bag. Hell, just reuse that creepy demon from the first game. That would be sick. But no, this is all we get. Beating up a physically disabled man until he drops the siphon.
No! Don't give it to the darkness! Please! It will destroy us all!
But before concluding this battle, there is one interesting object that a lot of people might have missed. This crest at the back of the loft. Something you'd likely grab and throw without giving it a second thought, but if we look closely, we can see what looks like a young Victor emblazoned on the front. This is the only extra context given to the character, and it's depressing. He was part of a freak show where his disfigured looks and powers were exploited for crowds to gawk at until he broke his chains and joined the Brotherhood. A dramatic past that drove him to never feel weak again. How's that working out for you, buddy?
No! This isn't my destiny!
The siphon's lying just within reach. The darkness wants full control, and with this device, he'll be more powerful than ever, an unstoppable entity using Jackie as a puppet. Something even an extra crippled Victor warns us against.
You are nothing! You are unworthy! The siphon will consume you!
That's the plan.
But Jackie has other ideas. This is the only tool that can kill us, that can send us straight to hell. So we take control.
Here goes nothing.
Dare defy me!
You were never in control. I'm coming for Jenny. And I'm coming for you.
Psych, you little bitch-ass. We're sent straight back to the mental gulag.
You can't keep getting away with it!
Naturally, Jackie isn't best pleased, which forces Jimmy to stick us with the happy juice.
Hold him down. Jackie, this is for your own good. There.
All of a sudden, things don't look so bad, and with a snail's trail of drool left in our wake, we're escorted to our new doctor, Vic.
I just killed you!
A professional alternative to the cult leader we just bullied, who's quick to join in on the "you're crazy" dog pile.
The voice you think you hear is just your brain playing tricks on you. Jackie, listen to me, it's important. Do you hear the darkness now?
No. It went quiet.
There is one upside though. We're allowed to see Jenny.
Let's take Jackie to see Jenny, please.
But before entering her office, our darkling friend throws a spanner into the works, calling us from the emergency exit up to the rooftop, risking life and limb to save us.
Jackie, get back here! Hey, Jackie, this way!
But sadly, even the best laid plans of mice and demons often go awry. Caught in the excitement, our savior isn't paying attention to where this exit leads, and despite our protests...
Wait, no! Don't go up there, please!
He opens the door, sending daylight cascading down and throwing him back. Normally, this wouldn't be an issue. Many a times has he been hit by light and respawned, but as he said in our last encounter, if he dies in the asylum, he's gone for good. There's no coming back. Despite being a demonic little shit, he made the ultimate sacrifice for his creator.
I had a good run. Knew the risks. Made my choice.
A tragic moment undercut with the trademark humor that made this darkling so lovable in the first place.
Good luck, monkey. Try not to f*** it up, eh?
This is the specific scene I was talking about earlier when I mentioned the thematic importance of having one singular darkling in the sequel. It makes his death infinitely more impactful. He's a character we've bonded with and he will be missed.
Damn it, Jackie!
But the orderlies are breaking through, so we follow the stairs up.
Okay, Jackie. Let's just stay calm.
Standing on the cliff's edge, there's nowhere to run as the staff spill in after us, Jenny included, who all plead for Jackie to step down, claiming that this world is real and if we jump, there's no coming back.
If you jump, it's over. You die. Heaven or hell, you're gone. I don't want to lose you. We want you to get well again.
You've got to take your medicine.
Now we're presented with two choices. The classic two-button dilemma, a game's worth of philosophical build-up boiled down to one button press. I've always protested that where possible, a game's outcome should be influenced by player behavior throughout their journey rather than one button choice at the end.
Don't you want to stay with me?
The first few Silent Hill games were great with how they implemented this type of system. Taking too much damage, hanging around questionable characters for too long, or going out of your way to kill everything in sight all led to drastically different outcomes for the protagonist. Here, for example, our ending could depend on how much Jackie embraced the darkness throughout our playthrough. If we opted not to upgrade the darkness, relying instead on traditional firepower, then maybe we could get a more human-focused, optimistic ending. The first option is to embrace Jenny, to leave the roof and accept this miserable reality at face value, panning downstairs where the two lovers dance together. Not exactly sanctioned behavior of a medical professional. As usual, it's bittersweet. He has the love of his life back, but at what cost? Living as a madman in a prison that may or may not be real, while the real Jenny may or may not be burning in hell. And that's all we get before credits roll. The quintessential blue pill ending. The other option is to jump, to stick to our convictions and take a leap of faith. If this world is real, it's game over, but it's a risk we're willing to take. Even if there's the smallest possibility that Jenny's suffering, he can't take that chance. So, jump he does.
I want to be with Jenny.
Well, there was never much doubt. Me personally, I never doubted it for a second. Hold on, let me just quickly delete this here obituary. Screaming as we fall, the illusion crumbles, revealing true hell and setting us on a path to free Jenny, who's been partially converted to a mummy and hung from magical bindings that taunt us before fleeing deeper into this hellscape.
Hold on, baby. I'm coming.
What can I say? Hell's a wacky place.
You are of no consequence!
We'll see about that.
This is the final level, marked with its own unique weaponry and enemy type. Demons with pale skin and mutilated faces that behave, mechanically, identical to the regular thugs. They're nowhere near as visually or technically interesting as the Hell soldiers from the first game. Soldiers that would march forward like zombies and eat our bullets without question, refusing to die until their hearts were destroyed. The new weaponry follows a similar design principle. They're repurposed weapons from the real world cast in fleshy, bone-like material. Basically, all weapons in Hell are on their final level of pack-a-punch. Even the sound effects are similar. It's uncanny. Following the crumbling path, we eventually reach a central arena where we make our final stand, which entails killing waves of enemy while pulling apart Jenny's bindings piece by piece.
No! You cannot!
Something the darkness fiercely protests, claiming that by freeing Jenny, we doom ourselves.
Doom yourself!
We don't exactly know what he means by this, but we don't care either. Having lost her for 2 years, she's finally within reach. We can redeem our past sins, and nothing is standing in our way.
She's worth it.
Bindings destroyed, the two finally have their heartfelt reunion.
Jackie, you did it.
A moment that, as they always are, is short-lived.
I didn't mean for this to happen. Any of this.
We don't have much time.
Sharing a kiss, an embrace, and rolling credits. But the story isn't over. The credits only roll for a few seconds before snapping back to Hell, where Jenny reminds us how much she loves us.
I love you, Jackie Estacado. No matter what happens, I always will.
Apologizes.
I'm so sorry.
And flies into the fucking air.
I'm the one who should be... Jenny?
Transforming into the Angelus.
We are the Angelus.
A female holy counterpart to the darkness, although that's not to say she's some kind of saint. She's equally as brutal, wanting to reform the earth in her glorious image.
The world has gone too long without my light.
This is why she was referred to as a host back in the brothel, and the reason the darkness tried so hard to keep her sealed away. And if you really want to look into it, this twist was possibly teased in the first game. When we're breaching the Darkness castle to regain control, the Darkness warns us that if we keep going forward, we'll lose Jenny forever. Maybe the old devs were teasing that her soul genuinely was trapped by the Darkness. When this revelation happened, I was giddy with excitement because I thought we were in for one hell of a final boss, a proper send-off, unlike that dweeb in our father's mansion. Not only is this enemy a total badass, but it's contained within someone we care for, someone we fought to save and don't want to hurt. You couldn't ask for a better nemesis, but the developers had other ideas. Instead of fighting, she claimed we're too powerful.
You have become too powerful a host.
Before flying away.
You and it are now where you belong.
No.
And roll credits. The real credits this time. It's one of the most abrupt endings to a AAA game I've ever encountered, and during such a pivotal moment too. I know they were taking inspiration from Mafia Media, but they really sopranoed us here. It's especially jarring because from the moment we leapt, the game was building the juiciest momentum. There were new monsters to fight, new weapons to wield, and an entity whose power is a true rival to our own, but it amounted to nothing. There was no payoff. All we got was a long linear hallway and a cock tease for a sequel that never materialized.
No.
This ending was a nothing burger, and I'm talking 2 soggy buns and naught but a pickle in between. What will happen to Jackie? How will he escape hell? Will we be able to save Jenny? What does the Angelus have in store? We'll never know, and it is heartbreaking. Literally. On paper, the sequel had everything going for it. The arrival of an ancient cult to up the stakes and pose a worthy challenger.
I want the darkness.
The addition of new abilities to master and unleash on our foes, and finally a refocused, more optimistic plotline, where the first game is about revenge and succumbing to the darkness.
Now you are mine.
The sequel is about regaining control. In fact, if anything, it's a love story, with Jackie fighting tooth and nail to hell and back, all in the name of love.
Jackie, you did it.
It's a tale steeped in poetry, demonstrating every shade of emotion from anger and hatred.
Thanks for the help, asshole.
To love and reverence.
I still see you. Everywhere I go.
But sadly, despite everything it did have going for it, due to the more lackluster aspects, the vast majority of gamers weren't willing to part with their hard-earned cash to give this game a chance. At least not at full price for such a short experience.
I'm so sorry.
The sales have been decent over a long period of time, but that's likely due to the many sales pushing this game out dirt cheap, allowing the skeptical hordes to play it and think, damn, this shit was fun, and for £2.50, it's a fucking steal.
Oh yeah!
But with so many high quality expansive games to play and so little time to do it, you can't blame the average Joe for wanting to spend their money more astutely. An issue that's only become more prevalent in recent years. Average games don't cut it anymore. There's too much to play, and the cost to create them is crippling for anything other than a blockbuster hit. That said, The Darkness 2 is still great fun to play, even to this day. It's visually stunning, and the story is emotional, raw, and heartfelt. But due to the short runtime, in the end, it feels more like a fizzle than a bang, leaving us gagging for more without any sign of relief on the horizon. At its current price tag, with none of the expectation, it's an absolute blast to play through across an evening or two, and in fairness, the campaign wasn't all the game offered. There's a new and wholly welcome addition, one we need to discuss, the arcade-style 4-player co-op campaign known as Vendettas.
Alright, let's head to the docks then and save the world and all that nonsense.
This mode is a massive improvement over the multiplayer flop of the first game. Yeah, this game did have multiplayer. I don't have much to say about it though, because the servers are completely empty now, and I couldn't afford broadband growing up, so I have no historic anecdotes. What I can gather is that it was totally broken. The shooting was really iffy in the campaign. Now imagine translating that into a TDM with several other people and poor netcode.
Ah, shit.
The only cool aspect of this mode were the darkling powers, allowing players to morph into a darkling at their will and jump around, slashing other players. It's a cool idea, and if it had worked, it could have been similar to the necromorph multiplayer experience in Dead Space 2. Not that we'll get to see it again, because EA have already shut down plans for a remake of the sequel because they hate people being happy.
Spitter? Well, she's the female of the game, and she can do some serious damage with her long-range toxic spit.
Gone are the empty servers and laggy combat, and in its place, a surprisingly engaging short story centered around 4 characters who are, in various ways, intertwined with the darkness.
Embrace the darkness.
It's very reminiscent of the multiplayer campaign from Far Cry 3. You know, the one that almost no one seems to remember? All they remember are the outrageous executions from Deathmatch. This mode is over the top, humorous, and according to the developers, designed to flesh out the world and let players blow off some steam. And having played through it several times, there is plenty of steam being blown off. From a lore perspective, these characters and their story open up a few questions. How do they all have darkness powers, and why are they all working for Jackie Estacado given their totally unrelated origins? Well, let's take a closer look at the characters in question. First up is Jimmy Wilson, a drunkard who, much like the average Glaswegian, bases his whole personality around a slurred hatred of the English.
Never side with an Englishman, you bloody bastard.
Jimmy is my personal favourite, not because he's the most powerful, or even because there's a level of catharsism in a Brit controlling a hate-filled Scotsman.
Hey, you sound English to me. That's bad for you, Sonny.
But because he is hilarious. His inability to communicate with any of the mission handlers is gold.
Didn't teach your granny to suck eggs.
What? And having recently been to Glasgow myself, I can confirm that his portrayal is shockingly accurate.
What's the f***ing score?
Excuse me?
The score in the football match.
Wielding a f***off axe imbued with the darkness, Jimmy can fire small arms while also throwing the axe God of War style miles across the battlefield and recalling it with little more than the power of Stella.
You want some more?
This darkness weapon is one of 4, with each character having their own special armament alongside one unique darkness power. And these weapons are where the 4 characters gain their darkness abilities.
His death shall be on my blade.
The darkness still lives within Jackie. It can't be present in more than one host, but these weapons have a small store of darkness power. In Jimmy's case, he can summon a wave of kamikaze darklings that will rush towards the enemies and explode. And aside from this unique ability, the other 4 powers are just abilities Jackie possesses in the campaign, split up across the team, letting you sync up your attacks and unleash hell at a moment's notice. Next up is Shoshana, a former Mossad agent who moved to New York to hunt down and destroy evil.
Men and your little toys.
She's the least interesting story-wise, but what she lacks in personality, she makes up for with sheer ability, being equipped with the Arm of Night. An unbelievably powerful sawn-off shotgun that turns her into, and I'm barely exaggerating, the original Ghost Rider. With a few upgrades, this sniper shotgun becomes a one-hit from any distance. Couple that with the fact that destroying hearts automatically reloads the gun, and that she can become temporarily invincible, and the game becomes a joke in the later half. All that without mentioning her darkness power, gun channeling, which stacks with the shotgun's power. It is broken. Here's some late game footage of me cleaning up the Brotherhood. I'm sorry, I know you can't see shit, but the point was I was so damn powerful I could just brute force my way through the lights and still kick ass. This girl would give Jackie a run for his money.
It is time we ripped out the Brotherhood's tongue.
The third member is JP Dumond, a once respected doctor in New Orleans who turned to voodoo to help heal those in need before finding himself involved in the criminal underworld.
Face your destiny.
Having used voodoo to tap into the darkness power, he fashioned a shaman staff called the Midnight Stick. In keeping with his shaman abilities, he's able to heal slightly more health when destroying hearts, gaining 3 bars with each consumption, where the others only gain 1. That said, his execution is diabolical, using his wooden voodoo to pick people up and twist them in half like an oversized turkey Twizzler. His darkness power is to summon a black hole. But unlike Jackie, JP doesn't need to find a heart to throw. Once his bar is full, he just summons it from the air like OG Jackie, making it far more tactically viable, especially once the ability's radius is upgraded.
Too bad for you.
Lore-wise, JP is one of the most complex. It's not clear how his otherwise morally sound goal of healing the sick led him to working with a crime boss possessed with the actual devil.
Suffering.
But we do discover that JP was once a member of the Brotherhood before turning coat, something we hear later in the game when he's asked to join their side.
Come to the dark and join us. I served my time in the Brotherhood. Never again.
Clearly, not all is what it seems with the good doctor.
I am a surgeon.
The final character is Inugami, the Hound. A man with a tragic backstory, having been forced to watch the slaughter of his entire family at the hands of the Brotherhood who were searching for his family's blade.
I gotta ask you, that blade of yours? It's the Kusanagi blade, right?
You know of its history?
Inugami names himself after the dog spirit of Japan that legend says was created from extreme suffering, trained to exact revenge upon the enemies of its master. And this warrior wields the Kusanagi, a legendary blade in Japanese mythology, one that symbolizes the authority of the Japanese emperor, except here the weapon is no blessing, it's a curse, with Inugami claiming the blade needs to feed or he'll perish.
Every day I do not take a wicked soul from this earth. A year of my life is removed.
Which is terrifying. The blade is vampiric, and while it only feeds on wicked souls, it puts Inugami in a terrifying position. He needs to hunt down and kill daily, or years will quickly pass him by. His life and story is, without doubt, the most interesting of the bunch.
Kusanagi, my blade, loves nothing more than taking Brotherhood lives.
At first, he's pretty squishy, but once you've upgraded the blade's abilities, he will cut through crowds like a hot knife through emotionally unstable butter.
Finally.
He has the Fly Swarm ability, which on harder difficulties, it's a good distraction, but it doesn't hold a candle to the other, more destructive powers.
Kusanagi.
Now, despite all the differences between the 4 characters, there really are only 2 playstyles in Vendettas. Everyone has an upgrade that makes them invincible for a short while, but there are 2 groups, invincibility from executions or invincibility from destroying hearts. This might seem trivial at first, but it makes a huge difference in how you approach combat, with Shoshana and Voodoo Man benefiting from destroying hearts, which allows them to hang back, using ranged weaponry to take the enemies down and bouncing between bodies like speed boosters in Mario Kart. Whereas the Scottish Defence League and Inugami, they get their boon from executions, forcing you to play more aggressively, constantly getting in people's faces and making sure you don't outright kill them to allow for an execution. It's a subtle difference, but I had a lot of fun jumping between the 2 playstyles and enjoying the rampage in a unique way.
My turn.
Vendettas has 2 gameplay modes, most important of which is the full-fledged mini-campaign, which serves as an in-between for the events of the main story, heading to a brand new location like a downtown bank or the new 6 headquarters in search of Brotherhood members or darkness artifacts.
Yeah, we found the Dark Essence relic for you.
The Vendetta campaign begins with the crew sat around a poker table where we get debriefed by Vinny, who issues our first mission, freeing Powell from captivity.
Is this guy, Johnny Powell? Go get him and bring him to me.
These are the new guys Vinny alluded to back at the start of the campaign.
I'll have the new guys go get him.
This mission consists of tearing through a junkyard and freeing Powell, who's bound and gagged in the garage at the back.
You guys stink like dark essence!
This is the general structure of every mission. Enter a linear series of hallways with a vague objective while going sicko mode on anyone and everyone caught in our path.
Yeah, son of an Easter house hinget!
But our goal is different. We're not hunting down the Siphon or Victor Valentine. We're tracking a new artifact, a weapon able to kill the darkness, the Spear of Destiny, alleged to be the lance that Jesus Christ was stabbed with while on the cross.
The Spear of Destiny. Holy shit!
It's been recovered by the Brotherhood, a particularly zealous man called David Graves, who serves as the main antagonist of the Vendetta campaign.
Nothing can stop us now.
Consistently staying one step ahead, we chase David all around New York, destroying the Brotherhood's operation at each location before eventually cornering him at a small local business he runs. It's the bank. He owns a fucking bank. Tracking into the penthouse, Boss Man is finally cornered, and like the wild beast he is, he resorts to a desperate measure, impaling himself with the artifact, allowing it to act as a conduit for dark essence as reality crumbles away and his form mutates.
You invited the kitty? I'm gonna cook you and eat you with some chips and a cold pint, you fucking hell beast!
This is honestly a way cooler final boss than either of the games got. This beast can slash, slam and scream you into a cinder, but if you hide behind the various pillars, there's not much it can actually do. It can summon hell demons and darklings to attack us, but they serve as little more than snacks to replenish our health. All we have to do is sit, take pot shots and slowly kill this eldritch beast. Yeah, the darkness has always struggled with their bosses for some reason. I guess it's hard to take a power fantasy and translate that into a challenging boss. Not that I'll be complaining too much, because as I said, this goofy little dragon twink is still infinitely better than the absolute nothing burger that concluded the main campaign. Its skin is highly resistant to damage, but it does have two weak spots, a diamond on its chest, which will cause it to collapse if shot, and a glowing eye on its face. But our demonic game of peekaboo must eventually come to an end, with the crew killing the Hellbeast and fulfilling our duty to Jackie, reclaiming the spear and cleansing this branch of the Brotherhood.
Fuck off, you flying.
All that's left is one slightly anticlimactic conclusion back at the poker table where Vinny appears, thanks us for our work.
The boss sends his regards and wishes to extend his deepest thanks for all your hard work.
Tells us not to leave town.
Don't leave town.
Then the game ends.
We'll be in touch soon.
It's abrupt, like all endings in the darkness appear to be. The second mode is hit lists, which are even more arcadey style missions taking place in the same locations we mastered throughout the Vendettas campaign. They don't add anything story-wise, they're just a neat way to squeeze more content out of the same areas, with the Vendetta crew heading in to try and kill specific bosses or a group of enemies.
The Brotherhood shall fall.
They don't have any real weight, but if you were jonesing for more content, this was a nice addition to tide you over.
The docks are secure.
What I don't like is that half of these hit list missions are locked and can't be played unless you have a buddy to play with. All of the other multiplayer missions work without a teammate, these ones should as well. And just to be safe, I checked exactly what happens in these missions, thinking maybe there's a mechanical reason for withholding them. But no, you're wrong. You get nothing.
You lose!
The very most I saw were a couple of moments where two players had to press a button at the same time in the same room to unlock a lift or door. These missions could 100% have been played solo. They're clearly locked away to incentivize purchase of a second copy. Of course, it is the developer's choice what they deem multiplayer exclusive, but when your game's already chronically short, having content technically locked behind a pay and f***ing friend wall is a bold move.
He's Scottish. Even worse, he's from Glasgow.
But with that, every piece of content across the entire franchise has been digested, and dear lord, it's not nearly enough.
Darkness.
The cathartic and vicious empowerment is something only Prototype managed to rival, and that too was abandoned just as it was finding its stride. But I'll be damned if they aren't a blast to play, and I wish they received more support so that maybe at least one franchise could produce their magnum opus. I mean, imagine a game like The Darkness or Prototype in this day and age. With the physics and graphics modern machines can handle, it would be carnage. These two games are very different experiences, each with their own pros and cons. And if I were bold enough to make a comparison, I'd say that the first is a better gaming experience, one that leaves a lasting, haunting impression, whereas the sequel is fundamentally a better game to play. It's smoother, more coherent, and has aged far better from a mechanical and visual standpoint. I said this about Silent Hill Homecoming and Downpour, but if you took the best elements from both games and combined them, the resulting game would be amazing.
Will do my bidding.
Ultimately, despite the demon this franchise centers around, The Darkness is a story of humanity. One man's struggle with good and evil, right and wrong. Jackie Estacado was already treading that line before the game even began, adopted into a crime family and forced to act hitman to an uncle that would just as soon throw him to the wolves.
You know you've been a pain in my ass since the day I met you, Jackie.
His only hope for a better life was Jenny, but that light was snuffed out.
What did they do to Jenny?
And while we can't relate to being an old school gangster in New York, I hope, please don't send anyone to my house, we can relate to wanting a better life, to the love he felt for Jenny and the crushing weight of inherited problems.
You can't outrun your fate, but you sure as hell gotta try.
It's a game that stayed with me and countless others for well over a decade, and I hope that one day this franchise will be revived and get the treatment it deserves. A true end to the long suffering of Jackie Estacado.
Am I dreaming?
Yes. You have to wake up now.